So this is Radical Dreamers, some visual novel type of experience for Chrono Cross, presented by the Radical Dreamers, 1996. I was 3 years old when this thing was a thing. It never was localized, and here we are, 2025, now playing it. It all began with a notebook my mother handed me. She told me she found it while cleaning out the closet. This old notebook, covered with mold, was a diary that belonged to my grandfather, who passed away years ago. It contained his distant memories. Is it just gonna automatically go? Oh, I have to keep up with it. Shit. All right. I wonder if you still remember how we first met and our many adventures. Hold on, humans. Oh, it is max volume. Or no. Okay, whatever. It all seemed like a dream. We ran like the wind during those warm summer days long ago. You were a piece of a star that fell from the sky. It's my first time doing this, seeing this. I don't even know who's talking. Who's a kid? I could still relive the memories of those days long past. Just by closing my eyes like so, and whispering your name into the desolate night. Kid. So who's talking? Is it Surge or some shit? Surge speaks English? We had another, a silent protag. Chrono's silent, and Surge is silent. I think Surge has, like, because usually the way silent protags is, like, when you have player choice for, like, what to pick text-wise, that's, like, the only time you can catch them speaking, technically. Chrono included. Kid. Hey, kid. Are you ready, kid? I know you're anxious, but stay on your toes. Yeah, likewise, mate. You mess up, and I'm leaving you behind. Got that, Surge? Okay, so it is Surge. So Surge is talking in this. Shit. If you notice, I'm wearing blue. Last stream I was wearing red. Chrono has red hair. Surge has blue hair. Total accident. Come on, Magiel, let's go. That bastard Lynx is gonna get what he deserves. Say your prayers. Not that it'll do you any good. Hehehe. Ha 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 ha. Oh, that's them at the bottom there. Look how I'm like blocking it. Like. Oh, my camera moved. That's what it is. Not like I'm a normally blocking shit anyways. Radical Dreamers. Les Tris are inter. What the fuck? It's French. Bitch, we French. I'm Canadian, so it's random when French gets thrown at me randomly like this, because I'm used to seeing French regularly anyways, but it's just like, why are you just randomly throwing French in there? That's it? Or is that, oh, that was just the opening intro, right? Okay. 1996, huh? Holy. And then this thing was 2022? Control, oh, okay, I can go through the text manually. Okay, thank you. I was about to say. Okay, so we're playing with controller. Please enter name, Surge. We are once again doing defaults. What, I can put my name and then the visual novel is going to change it in my name? The old lady's tip-off was right on the money. The counterspell on the barrier around the outer walls could have done a real number on us. Kid's plain, unadorned braid flicked back and forth across her shoulders as she walked. We picked our way through the elaborate lattice of the manor's magic shields, moving in closer and closer to Lord Link's stronghold. There were 3 of us, Kid, Magiel, and me. I don't know who Magiel is. Is that... Reminds me of Magus. No, I'm okay. I guess it must have been 3 years already since I first met Kid. Back then, I was just a wandering musician, traveling wherever my feet would take me, and wherever a few tunes would pay for a warm bed. That is Guile. This guy? And who the hell is that? Who's that? That's Surge? That's not Surge. These people don't necessarily look exactly like Kid doesn't... Kind of looks like Kid in the front, but like... Anyways. It was in the Outlands, in a town called Rigoria. I don't know how to pronounce that. Where we first ran across one another. And since then, she dragged me along on a whole bunch of adventures, and misadventures, too. Ah, kid. She was a thief. Not just any thief. Just a few months shy of 17, and already renowned as one of the realm's greatest. What's more, she was achingly beautiful, stylish, a joy to be around, and a dab hand at campsite cooking, or so she liked to claim. The truth was a little different. Those bandits with hearts of gold you've heard about in stories, the ones who steal from the rich to give to the poor, yeah, that wasn't kid style. She was short-tempered, prone to lying, bossy, and obsessed with money, and rarely did she care to listen to a single word anyone said to her. But she wasn't all bad, probably. Maybe. Sometimes. She had her moments, anyway. I glanced over my shoulder to see a shadow hovering behind us, blending into the darkness like smoke. Yeah, this is real booky. Magil, also known as Magil the Shade. He was Kid's partner, but even after 3 years, this is like a new character. I don't know who that is. Oh, maybe he dies here. And then that's why Kid's by herself or some shit. He was Kid's partner, but even after 3 years, I still knew hardly anything about him. All I knew was that he was around 30 years old, and not much of a talker. But he was one heck of a mage. Yeah, that kind of sounds like... I heard that he and Kid had started working together way before I met her. He always covered the top half of his face with a mask. And I'd never seen what he looked like underneath. Yeah, that sounds like he's describing Guile. He was a man so Guile's a character in this game. He was a man so mysterious that it sometimes seemed like he was an interloper from another world. It wasn't like Kid was exactly big on details about her past, but Magil? Magus? Guile? Whoever this person is. He might as well not have he might as well not have had one. And Kid didn't seem to know much about her partner in crime either. What kind of man he was, what kind of life he'd lived before. Nothing. You might ask how exactly I wound up being a part of this merry band? Well, it's complicated. I guess you could say that life doesn't always turn out the way you think it will. Kid, who was heading up our little raiding party, suddenly stopped dead. Look lively, boys. We've got company. We glanced around warily as cold, cruel eyes emerged from the darkness. Cats. Are these cats? Dark shadows prowled through the night, surrounding us. A pack of wildcats. They're some kind of cat. There must have been about 10 of them. A thrill of fear ran down my spine. Fear? I'd be happy. What better way to die than just death by cats? Just flustered, I pulled my knife from my belt. Kid calmly shifted into a fighting stance. Watch yourselves. I don't reckon these buggers have been treated for rabies. The wildcats snarled and growled as they slowly closed in on us, drawing the noose tighter and tighter. Their eyes glinted in the darkness like fireflies, and strings of eager spittle dripped wetly to the ground. Then one of them sent an almighty roar soaring to the moon, and the hunt was on. Any music? Okay, cool. Oh! There's choices. What was I going to do? Oh, there's time. Oh, it's a time limit. Think fast. Kid dived into the thick of the pack of wildcats and gave the largest of their number an almighty kick into the chops. I didn't even choose anything. It went on. The startled beast gave a yelp as it was sent flying. I turned to my right to see that a nearby wildcat was charging towards me, its head lowered menacingly. Panicked, I tried to make a last-second dodge, but I wasn't quite fast enough. Its claws scraped against my side as it rushed past me. I winced in pain for a moment, then turned to face my foe and readied myself. I struck at it wildly. I slashed at the nearby wildcat with my knife. The beast tried to leap clear, but I was already too close. I felt the blade make contact and was rewarded with a screech of pain. Visual novels. The wildcat jumped away, this time managing to put some space between us. It looked like I hadn't cut it very deeply. I stood my ground, changing my grip on the knife and waiting for another chance to attack. Surge, behind you! Panicked by Kid's warning, I whirled wildly around and came face to face with a pair of eyes blazing like hellfire. I defended myself. There wasn't time to do anything but try to protect myself. In a moment of sheer desperation, I crossed my arms to guard my face. Instantly, I felt the wildcat's fangs sink into my exposed wrist. It had thrown itself bodily at me, bowling me over backwards. Ah! My arm still in its powerful jaws, the wildcat pinned me to the ground and shook its head. I tried desperately to free myself, but it was clamped onto me like a bear trap, and there was no way of getting loose. The sound of fang on bone was sickening. But just then, the creature recoiled with a screech. Kid had buried her knife deep into its gut. She quickly capitalized on its terror by giving it an almighty kick. Free of the wildcat, I staggered to my feet, holding the throbbing wound on my arm. I was breathing heavily. The handle of my knife was slick with sweat, and I tightened my grip. With a kick like a bolt of lightning, Kid landed a clean hit on the flank of a nearby wildcat. Anyways, it staggered before losing its footing, letting out a pathetic cry, but Kid had already moved in to finish it off. And then, the roar of fire. A burning smell filled my nostrils, and next to me, a shrill screech pierced the air. Magil's fire spell engulfed the head of a nearby wildcat. Oh, dang, headshot. It fled, darting off into the darkness like an arrow. That was cool. They did like a weird visual novel, like battle kind of thing. And you could, if you read game dialogue, a good majority of time, it's like nothing like a book. But if you read something like this is a lot like a book, like the person's writing style and stuff. Very, very detailed, descriptive. It's like just you're in this dude's head. He's just thinking about everything. It's nice. Anyways, I scanned the area. Only moments ago, we had been surrounded, but now there wasn't a single wildcat left. Kid and Magil had either sent the rest off with their tails between their legs, or put paid to them once and for all. Ha! You're dreaming if you think a pack of flea-bitten moggies is gonna stop us, Lynx. Lynx. Wait, what? Oh, she's talking about... Never mind. Kid crossed her arms and flashed a triumphant grin. Meanwhile, I was panting heavily, and it felt like my legs were about to give out from under me. I collapsed to my knees, overwhelmed by what I'd just been through. Ooh. I'd taken a few hits, but I was fine otherwise. A couple of scars to talk about later, maybe. But nothing that would stop me carrying on. I don't understand if this shouldn't be canon. This might be like some alternate dimension reality type of thing. Are you hurt? Magil looked down at me, his face expressionless as ever. No worries, Mag. He'll be alright, said Kid, barging in to get a better look at me. He may be a whinging sook, but it'll take more than a few scratches to kill this one. She was nothing if not sympathetic. But she was right. This was no time to be bemoaning my lot. We hadn't even reached the manor yet. I dabbed at my wounds with a tincture-soaked cloth and wrapped them with bandages, then looked up at the other two. We're just getting started. I grinned back, putting a brave face on things. That's what I like to hear, Kid cheerily announced from the close quarters. But then her eyes turned cold, like the cool glow of the moon in the night sky. It's gonna be a long night. I nodded, trying my hardest not to utterly lose myself in her pale blue eyes. Jeez, chill out, bro. Are these both kids? Yeah, Serge is probably around her age. All right, let's get... As if Serge is over 18, that's like some... All right, let's get the show back on the road. She turned away and marched off deeper into the trees without looking behind to see if me and Magil were following her. Magil, of course, was already right behind her. His unhurried gait making it seem as though nothing much had happened at all. Yeah, this guy's like probably level 10 plus. You're probably level 1. I jumped back up to my feet to chase after them. I'd be in for even more trouble than I'd bargained for if I got separated from them. Cool. Other views in the picture. The dark forest... Sorry. The dark forest inside the manor's perimeter seemed to go on forever. A labyrinth of trees and boulders. The manor itself loomed in the distance, glowering over the vast grounds. And hidden within was a veritable mountain of treasure, just waiting for us. Honestly, bro, this is... Technically speaking, this is my very first visual novel I'm doing on stream. If I'm doing a game like this, let me tell you, bro, there's really good visual novels out there. It's just I'm iffy about streaming that as well. Not only is it like 40 plus hours or like 80 plus hours potentially of reading, but it's all reading. And as far as like a walkthrough and a let's play go, it's not really gamey. It's just a shit ton of text, you know? There are some visual novels with gameplay elements like Phoenix Wright type of games, Zero Escape franchise. But yeah, there's also pure visual novels, which is just straight reading. And one of my favorite visual novels of all time is pretty much reading with a bunch of choices. And yeah, there's like different endings and stuff like that, and there is gamey stuff. But in my eyes, it's ultimately a book. But yeah, that visual novel would crush this. But just books, everyone should read books, okay? Reading is very important. It's actually OP if you read a lot. Okay, you'd kind of be ahead of the pack in a lot more ways than one if you simply just read. And people older than me, a lot of them read. They're like pretty well informed. You know, the younger generation's like so dumb. They need like ADHD, like 10-second shorts that summarize with like colorful subtitles. And it's like forget about Spark Notes and summaries of a book or whatever work of fiction. These guys have like all these books and movies summarized in like a couple of shorts. Give us the breakdown. And I'll be honest, I've watched those too. The manor, where was I? And hidden within was a veritable mountain of treasure just waiting for us. Lord Lynx was the noble who ruled the remote territory of Regiora? Regiora. He was also Kid's mortal enemy. We were there that night to steal a certain jewel he kept locked away in his most closely guarded vault, the Frozen Flame. Remember that. The Frozen Flame was veiled in mystery. It was said to be imbued with an uncanny energy and possessed of a beauty and clarity that made it a priceless treasure. Countless thieves had tried to steal it, and not one of them had come close to succeeding. By the way, we are 16 minutes in. This shit was not 10 minutes. The Frozen Flame was veiled in mystery. It was said to be imbued with an uncanny energy and possessed of a beauty and clarity that made it a priceless treasure. Countless... Oh, why am I rereading it, bro? And now it was our turn to try and sneak into this place of death. Led by a girl who had the ambition to make the impossible possible, a hunger for vengeance that drove her onward, and a desire for riches that could never be satisfied. Jeez. There's a lot of money-hungry people nowadays, so... As we, survival. As we pressed on... Oh, not survival, but thriving while surviving. As we pressed on through the tree-filled darkness, the shadows gave way at last, revealing the true extent of the vast mansion. Finally, say your prayers, Lynx, because we're coming for you. Keeping to the overgrowth and the shadows of the trees, we made our way around the manor walls in search of a means of entry. Cool. I don't mind this. Maybe some of y'all will be like, fuck this, skip it. Eventually, we came to a terrace overlooking the garden. Bro, when you have a lot of text to work with, you can... it should be easier to like portray and depict and execute like a decent story at least. But if you're like limited to like 1 minute of screen time and like Kratos has to say one line from... I'm talking about Kratos from God of War. He's like, he has to say one line and they like revised it over and over. Like, what's the perfect thing this character's gonna say? He doesn't even speak that much, okay? When he does speak, it's impactful. So it's like they cherry pick these like you know what I mean? It's like movie type of vibes, Hollywood type of vibes where, you gotta play your screen real estate wisely pretty much. Anyways. Eventually, we came to a terrace overlooking the garden. There was no sign of guards nearby. The only thing surrounding the manor was an uncanny stillness. This will lead us straight into the west wing, just as well. We don't have any business in the rest of the manor tonight, said Magil, gazing up at the dark building towering over us in the night. All right, then. What are we waiting for? With that, Kid made to vault over the railing of the terrace. Stop, Magil hissed sharply. Remember what we're here for. Our main target is the vault and the frozen flame within it. We focus on this above all else. Your vengeance is of secondary concern. Agreed? Honestly, bro, that's Megas. You wanna know why? I've been saying that a lot of the kind of things and things Megas is saying, it kind of like, it's not that I will specifically say it word for word, but it's like it resonates with me. It's like, this guy's kind of like me in this situation. Like he says a lot of, you know what I mean? And in this case, it's like, not only did this make him seem like Magus, but it's like, yeah, okay. Okay. We'll see all the new, whatever they added in this game. I've heard, I spoiled some stuff. That's why I'm, yeah, anyways. Glancing over her shoulder, Kid replied with a reluctant, yeah, don't get your knickers in a twist. But if we happen to run into him, I'm gonna knock that Drongle's block off, and neither you or anybody else is gonna stop me. Eh, I guess Kid was going to get her way whether we liked it or not. Let's go, boys. The night is young. She cleared the railing. I'll know this for sure if Magiel says a certain kind of... I'll see if he does it. She cleared the railing with a springly hop and vanished inside the manor. I glanced toward Magiel and nodded in silence. We followed Kid's lead and were soon inside Lord Link's lair. Our darkness swallowed us whole. Yeah, right. Imagine entering a dark room and they describe it as the darkness swallowed us whole. That's like me walking in my room with the lights out. A corridor stretched off to the left and right from the terrace. It seemed equally dark and chilly in both directions. Oh, it's choice space here. Okay. Right or left? Probably right, honestly. We pressed on through the darkness, down corridors that turned and twisted snake-like, this way and that. Everything around us was still and silent, and it felt strangely like we were being watched. It was as if countless eyes were staring silently from the shadows, looking on with curiosity and pity. We continued, creeping cautiously down the corridors. Kid moved proudly and stealthily like a cat stalking its prey. While in the shadows, Magic followed, gliding swiftly and silently like a sinister breeze. We pressed on into the embrace of the Weaver of Fate. Yeah, it's not letting me. It's just going automatically, so I have to read it fast. Why does it go segue into that? A short way along the corridor, running from the right-hand side of the terrace, we found an ancient-looking door. Again, on our right. See? It's all right. Right. And there you go. That's probably the vault is. Kid pressed an ear against it, listening for any signs of life. Dead quiet. Don't reckon there's anybody in there. What's the difference between continuing on and opening the door? Oh, continuing on, like moving on? Here, let's open the door, bro. Stop being a bitch. In we go. Kid stilled her breath and reached for the handle. The door was unlocked. It swung slowly open. What is this, Resident Evil? What's this room supposed to be? Place is a dump. Kid had poked her head in through the door, taking a quick peek to see if there was anyone inside, and was disappointed by what she found. The room was large and littered with peculiar-looking machinery and knickknacks, all of which were covered in dust and had seemingly been dumped there haphazardly. I hate that word. Haphazardly. Everything looked like it had been there rusting for a very long time. The ends of the room were completely dark, and it was impossible to tell just how big it was, or even what the walls and floor looked like. It seemed the manor's inhabitants had turned the old clock tower into a makeshift storage space some time ago. I stepped warily inside. Leave that alone. I looked over toward Magiel and saw a kid trying to pull something from the shadows. It was a huge sword that appeared to be very old indeed. You don't need that old bludgeon. It'll only get in the way. And as much of an antique as it is, it won't fetch much on the market in that condition. Yeah, reckon it might, you know. There's plenty of collectors who just love old bits of junk. Well, some old bits of junk. Pouting, Kid left the sword where she stood. At least she put it back down gently. It was then that we heard a voice from the shadows. And what exactly are you doing here, I just about jumped out of my skin. Who's there? Kid and Magiel turned to face the voice, ready for a fight. A wizened? Wizened? A wizened? Is that how you spell wizened? Isn't it wizened with an S? A wizened crone emerged from the shadows. She was hunched over and wore a hood draped over her face. I could tell at a glance that she wasn't just old, she was positively ancient. It's just some dottery old bag. What do you think you're doing sneaking up on us like that? Kid's shoulders relaxed as the tension left her body. Magiel, however, continued to give the woman a piercing stare. Oh, what an impish little thing you are. Here to visit a friend, perhaps? Not in the dead of night, I suspect. The crone narrowed her eyes. Let's get a closer look at you. Ah, yes. You must be here to get your revenge on Lynx. How did she... My heart jumped. She seemed to know exactly who we were. We were in trouble. What if she sounded the alarm? We'd have to give up on the treasure and run for our lives. What were we going to do? Play dumb, no. Defiantly tell her she was right. Old lady's not gonna snitch on us. So what if we are? Kid narrowed her eyes right back at the crone. What's it to you if we're here to get our revenge on old Lynxy boy? You gonna do something about it? Hehehe, you never change, do you? The crone chuckled madly, her small frame shaking. Ah, the boldness of youth. Yes, that's the spirit. You, what? Kid looked at the crone, completely confused. I was no less mystified. What the heck are you on about? Come here, my pretties. Oh, it must have been 4 or 5 years ago. Yes, it was around then that an innocent young thief stole into the manor, looking to singe Lord Link's whiskers. She couldn't have been much older than 10, now that I think of it. Shocked, my gaze turned to Kid. A wet glint had appeared in Kid's eyes, but her glare was like ice. It certainly felt as if the temperature in the room had suddenly dropped below freezing. With a chuckle, the crone continued her story, pretending not to have noticed the change in mood. She was an orphan, you know. Came after Lynx to avenge a woman who'd loved her like her own daughter. Oh, okay. But all the vengefulness in the world couldn't change the fact that she was only a little girl. She was no match for Lynx's men, sadly, and they quickly captured her. Lynx is the kind of man one would fear to have for an ally, never mind a foe. Had it not been for the timely assistance of a friend of hers, the girl would have certainly been executed. The way the people of the manor told it, the very shadows pitied the girl and rushed in to spirit her away. I wonder how much of the tale could be true. I have nothing but sympathy for those who know failure, of course. You can't win all the time. And sometimes, against all the odds, fate really can be foiled, and the clockwork of history sent into disarray. Gee, I wonder what this old lady's on about. It's almost like this old lady played Chrono Trigger. No, the ones I have no patience for are the ones who do not recognize their failure, or who fail and choose to give up as a result. The crone looked up from under her hood, stared Kid directly in the face, and grinned. Kid's anger faded, giving way to a dumbfounded expression. If you wish to steal the jewel from Lynx, if you truly wish to triumph, you will have to let go of a treasure of your own, Kid. For as long as you cling on to it, the hands of your clock will never move. They'll stay exactly where they came to rest all those years ago. Who are you? Ho ho, me? Why, I'm just an old bag, like you said. I do apologize, I must have taken up a lot of your time with all my babbling. I'll leave you in peace. Oh, but before I go, the crone turned to face me. You seem to be injured, young man. If you wish, I can take a look at your wounds. With all the attention suddenly turned toward me, I panicked a little. Alright then, please do. Alright then, please do. The crone muttered a few words as her bony fingers drew sigils in the air. A pale, gentle light began to surround my body, filling me with a strange warmth. Strike a light. That's no ordinary spell. Kid was impressed. I felt my wounds healing, and heard a nostalgic melody that soothed the wounds in my heart. Before I realized it, the crone was gone. Hey, lady. Kid strained her eyes, scanning the darkness. There was no one to be seen, and her calls went unanswered. Who the bloody heck was that? Kid looked like she'd just woken up on the floor of the Laughing Pig after a few too many. Oh, is that probably a bar or a pub? And what did she mean about you having to let go of a treasure? Well, you won't find any answers here. Time to move on. Magio brought us back to Earth, emotionless as always. It almost seemed as if he thought nothing had happened at all. Yeah, I guess you're right. Kid walked quickly to the door, keen to move on. Hold it, you. Just as I was about to follow Kid out of the room, she jabbed me in the side with her elbow. You stingy little bugger, Surge. Why didn't you tell her to share some of that healing magic with the rest of us? Classic Kid. Okay. The door led back into the corridor, which stretched off to the left and right. Rightward lay the depths of the manor, while the way to our left led back to the terrace. Okay, keep going right. Continuing down the corridor, we came across a rather sturdy-looking door on the left. Okay. A little further on stood a stairway leading upwards. Well, this door's clearly meant to keep something safe. If there ain't some kind of treasure behind it, me name ain't Kid. Sniff, sniff. Yep, that's the smell of cold, hard cash, all right, she muttered to herself as she began to inspect the door more closely. We went inside. Ah, what am I, stupid? Of course it's bloody locked. Kid had tried the door handle a few times before giving it a grumpy kick. Bloody door's got a magic barrier on it, and the bloody barrier's got a barrier of its own to boot. It'll take more than me putting the boot in to get through all that. I see. Then unless we find the key, we don't have a hope of getting inside. Reckon I can handle a key hunt, especially if it's that idiot Lynx who's hidden it. If we can find his room, I'll sniff it out in 2 seconds flat. You just watch. There was little more we could do here, so we decided to look elsewhere. Okay, continue on. The corridor ended at the foot of some stairs. With Kid in the lead, we headed upwards. It was dark, and the stairwell was narrow. We watched our footing carefully as we climbed. The stone of the steps was worn smooth with age, and I lost count of how many there were as we spiraled onward and upward. An awful sense of foreboding haunted me. I had no idea why, but it felt as though we were marching to the gallows. When we arrived at the top of the stairs, we were greeted by an old, heavy door looming in the silence. All was deathly silent, and the still, clammy air added to the sense of ominous apprehension. Something's very wrong here, I muttered, without thinking. I hear cursed whispers from beyond the door, Maggio added, doing nothing to lift the mood. Ah, grow up, will ya? Kid shot back at us derisively. She was already examining the door. Well, it ain't locked, and I don't hear anyone outside. I might as well go inside. Why would we go back? Is this... What kind of choice-based thing is this that we go? What would happen text-wise if we go back? Does it just end and we just leave? Or is that like... Anyways. Alright, here goes. Kid tried to handle. The door opened, and with a slow, heavy swing, revealed what lay beyond. It was a small, cylindrical room that appeared to be the inside of one of those the stone towers. It was completely deserted, and there were no windows. What's this supposed to be? Something about this place gives me the creeps. Still standing in the doorway, Kid seemed suddenly taken aback. There might be something in here. Let's take a closer look. A closer look at a bloody empty room? Pah, might as well, I guess. We did climb all them stairs. Kid stepped through the door, grumbling under her breath. I scanned the room and then noticed something on the floor. The flagstones were covered in dozens of narrow scratches, and in places there were thick black stains. Something in the stains spoke of a horror that no amount of scrubbing would ever wash away, a malice and a sadness beyond imagining. There's something written here. Crouching in front of a wall, Maggio was inspecting some brownish markings that looked like more of the same stains. Someone's carved letters into the wall and scrambled them using blood magic? Kid had gone over to take a look. Looks pretty old, hard to read too. Some of it's been worn away. Let's see. I cannot hold out much longer. My only hope now is to leave the Acacian signet in this room. The Acacian signet? Suddenly, the door slammed shut. We jumped to our feet with a start. From above us, we heard an unsettling creaking sound. The walls and floors began to tremble. What the hell's going on? Kid's eyes darted around the room as she desperately tried to figure out what was happening. The creaking sound from above continued, and the ceiling moved ominously closer. Up there! Oh, a trap. We've walked right into a bloody trap. Kid bit her lip. We've got to do something, and fast. We don't have time to sit and think about this. Smash down the wall. Good idea. There's got to be a hidden door or something somewhere, yelled the Kid. Panicked, we tried thumping the walls to see what we could find, but all we came up against was solid, unyielding stone. Shunk! The edge of one of the descending blades sliced into my forehead. Whoa, really? Jeez, that's very descriptive. There was no time. What were we going to do? Barge the door down? Yeah. Kid sprang at the door like an arrow, slamming into it shoulder first. But it was far too heavy, and her light frame bounced right off of it. Damn it! Maggio raced toward the door like the wind, smashing into it with a ferocious force. It made a creaking sound and shook from the impact, but stood firm. Desperately, I hurled myself at it too. The shock of the impact rushed through my body, but it was no good. Meanwhile, the rusty creaking from above continued, as did the ceiling's inexorable journey downward. And to make matters worse, now, countless blades were popping in and out. Surge, Maggio, this is going to take the three of us. Timing our blows, we all charged the door at once. Once, twice, a third time. And then the door was open, and we were collapsed in a heap in the corridor outside. Wah! Behind us, we heard the sound of the bladed ceiling grinding on the stone floor of the tower room. Oh, jeez. The metallic scraping noise it made was awful. We could only look on in silent horror at the fate we'd so narrowly evaded. Cool. The machinery continued for a short while before slowly coming to a stop. It seemed the ceiling trap had finally finished its grisly work. Bugger me, talk about a nasty surprise. Is it some sort of execution chamber? Magiel continued, seeming to be in deep thought. In any case, that writing mentioned Acacia. Yeah, what was that all about? I asked. The Acacia Dragoons, the elite knightly order serving General Viper. Oh, I remember General Viper, who once governed the territory of Galesburg to the west. Former knightly order, I should say. They were wiped out more than a decade ago by the lord of this very manor. So I don't know General Viper, but the manor is called Viper Manor. I think that's what I'm remembering. Thanks for the history lesson, Meg. Kid rose to her feet, patting off the dust. Too bad we're not here for fairy tale nights. Come on, we've got a lot more exploring left to do. Magil shrugged silently, and we headed back to the stairs. With Kid in the lead, we headed downstairs. We went down the stairs and continued straight ahead, eventually coming across a sturdy-looking door on our right. On the same door. The corridor continued further on back toward the terrace. Try to go in. Oh. Okay, so this is visual novel, but it's like choose your own adventure. There's some visual novels that are just straight reading, that's why. Every so often there's a choice. And then if there are choices, some visual novels just have like one ending or some shit. And then some where the choices do impact things and like maybe you're like in one route or the other, whatever. I see. Then yeah, okay. We already seen this dialogue. Went back to the corridor. Continue back down to the corridor. Isn't this where the lady is? Maybe you can get the lady to heal my forehead. No sign of life. Or hello, any old ladies in here? No? No kindly old dears who know more than they're letting on lurking in the shadows? Come out, wherever you are. Oi, lady, show yourself. The silence spoke volumes. This is a waste of time, pronounced Magiel flatly, turning on his heel. We left the dusty old storage room. So now we go left. Okay, so we're just exploring everywhere. And just like reading the adventure. Go through all the options. Permutations. Yeah, go left back to the terrace. We went out to the terrace? We returned to the quiet terrace overlooking the garden, and then I talked to Kid. Alright, Serge, you're finally starting to learn how to get your hands dirty, ain't you? I guess people really can change, if they put in the effort. Kid's eyes shone with an impish playfulness. Well, she hadn't seen anything yet. We should go back inside. We're not here for fun, muttered Magiel. Well, he said that, but... Dr. Magiel, you're doing well tonight, Serge. You're less green than when we first met. Also, Serge is like level 2. What I could see of Magiel's face betrayed no emotion, but I thought I could feel the faintest of friendly gazes from beneath the mask. Right, dust yourself off and let's get moving. We've got work to do, said Kid. Well, she said that, but... Go back in, and then we're gonna go left. Cool, I like that. Not bad. A lot of reading, though. Mouth is getting dry. Go left down the corridor. We took the corridor leading from the left-hand side of the terrace, eventually arriving at an intersection with some stairs. The path to the right led down the stairs. The path to the left was a dark side passage. And the main corridor continued straight onwards. Oh, it's... Okay. Go into the side passage to the left. We headed down a side passage. At the end of it, we came to an old, immaculately polished door. We went inside. Kid gently pushed the door ajar and peeked into the room. Jump scare! The next thing I knew, she'd slipped inside. Magiel and I followed. Looks like a study. The room was lit by the moonlight coming through the long, slender windows, slanting down in a pale beams through the darkness. It was pretty... Oh, the library. It was pretty big for a study, with an immaculate antique desk dominating the center. There were rows of bookshelves lined with thick, dusty old tomes. The wall to the rear of the room was decorated with paintings, and shelves of vases and painted plates stood before it. They all seemed to be curios from foreign lands. In this case, I think I understand what curios means, just the context, but I've never really seen that word. And okay, whatever. Check the desk. I went over to the desk and started searching the drawers. There, I found a neatly arranged set of pens, ink bottles, and other writing materials. Whoops, I missed something. Whatever. A small portrait on the desk caught my eye. It was a picture of a young girl with a gentle smile on her lips. Who was she? That's the girl Lynx adopted. If you ask me, it wasn't because he was looking to help the needy, said Kid, peering over my shoulder. It's probably a diddler. She wrinkled her nose in distaste. Not even a looker. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. It wasn't a loud knock, but in the bottomless silence of the night, it might as well have been a thunderclap. Kid and I stood bolt upright and turned toward it. Magill, meanwhile, hid in the shadows, drifting away like smoke. Panicked, I whispered to Kid, hide under the desk. You what? There's no time. I shoved Kid under the desk and then darted under it with her. Oof, it was more cramped than I thought it would be. I packed myself in as best I could, but Kid and I found ourselves in an awkward tangle of legs and arms. Slowly, the door opened. Flickering candlelight spread from the doorway with a warm glow. A shadowy figure appeared at the threshold. I tried to pack myself into the space under the desk just a little tighter and stilled my breath. I looked down for a moment and my heart skipped a beat. Kid's lips were right there. For a moment, everything else seemed to drift away. The pink bow of her mouth was so soft, so perfectly formed. Suddenly, my heart was beating so loud. Chill, Serge. My heart was beating so loud I thought my chest would burst. I tore my eyes away and squeezed them tightly shut. But it seemed that whoever it was didn't mean to come in. They simply stood there. Strange. I thought I heard something. But the Lord of the Manor is away, of course. Why would there be anyone in here? I have to get over my nerves. Everything was fine until we heard the news that Poor was on the move. Ah, so they have a place called Poor just like in Chrono Trigger. I wonder if it's the same exact place. Or like some new place that, you know? The figure quietly closed the door, plunging the room back into darkness. The voice trailed off to a whisper. We remained motionless, keeping our ears pricked for any sign of an unwelcome return. All we heard were footsteps moving away. As I stayed hidden, listening for trouble, a thought began to cross my mind. Kid, sure does smell nice. Oi, Serge, you gonna move your arse or what? She whispered into my ear, her breath tickling as she spoke. Sorry. I rushed to my feet in a panic, smacking my head right into the top of the desk. Ow. Cradling my head in my hands, I crawled out from underneath. That stinks. Kid followed right after and stood up, looking down at me on the floor. Not your most heroic moment. You alright? Yeah, I'll live. She took a look around the room. No sign of that dirtbag Lynx. Lucky for him, she snorted. So Poor has made its move. Agile emerged from the shadows, contemplating the news we'd overheard. Kid, if the rumors are true, we might well be about to find ourselves in a very difficult situation. This seemed to set her thinking too. Poor was a powerful nation that ruled the southern continent. I'd heard it was a prosperous land whose recent and sudden development had pushed it far ahead of its neighbors. Oh, it's a nation now? Holy shit. Ruled the southern continent. So they took over. So you know in Chrono Trigger how that southern continent had Poor, it had the magic cave, it had the mountains, it had Fiona's villa where we left Robo and shit. Yeah, apparently Poor ended up becoming like taking over that whole area probably, right? Nation ruled southern continent, yeah. And then remember we did the quest in Chrono Trigger where the mayor was like greedy and shit, the mayor of Poor, and then we went back in time or whatever, or we gave something to his wife and then that like made her teach her kids better lessons, and then those descendants ended up being the mayor, but then now the mayor was like nicer and shit. I wonder what happened. This guy go warlord mode or what? Or maybe it's someone else that took over. But yeah, interesting, the connection right there. That's kind of why I wanted to try to play Chrono Cross close enough to Chrono Trigger so I actually like remember some details. Yeah, I heard it was a prosperous land whose recent and sudden development had pushed it far ahead of its neighbors, thanks to Robo, which made me wonder what would its inhabitants want here, out in the sticks. I say it's Robo's credit because he made all that land like agriculture. Remember he was doing the thing where it's all desert and then it like turned more like forest and shit. Yeah. Which made me wonder, what would its inhabitants want here out in the sticks? They couldn't be after the frozen flame too, could they? As valuable as it might be, a jewel was just a jewel in the grand scheme of things. I couldn't imagine it being an item of national interest. I mean, ultimately, it was just a pretty rock. Right? Anyways, let them do what they want. If everyone's busy playing soldiers, they won't be bothering us. Come on, we've got things to do. She headed for the door. We left the room and made our way back down the side passage. Yeah, this is almost an hour. We made our way back down the dark passage leading from the study. But I like it. It's like a visual novel game. And this is the first of its kind on this channel so far. So maybe this might encourage me and, you know, make me more comfortable and willing to try to do a visual novel. There's really good visual novels, man. Like, it's kind of cheating though, because it's like, think about it this way. You know how a movie's 2 hours and then like a 3-hour movie runtime, it gives it that whole extra hour to do all sorts of cool stuff to like flesh it out, right? Same logic applies with books versus games. The sheer amount of dialogue that you can put in a book just gives you, it just lends you so much capability and flexibility to like actually write out and hash out like literally every little detail about a character, their thoughts, what's happening, any sort of situation. You see how like that like moment there where the trap is coming down, it's like so descriptive and like detailed and wordy and stuff. I'm gonna be honest, I don't mind reading. I like reading. It's definitely a skill that seems like it's going like less and less prominent or important, but really fiction or otherwise, if anything, read nonfiction at the minimum. Like, you know, for you don't have to read fictional games and stuff or whatever, but just saying the amount of information in how short a period of time, just because text and just paragraphs and paragraphs of information, can't be understated how valuable that is. Anyways, we made our way back to dark passage leading from the study. Eventually, we arrived back at the intersection. Okay. We could... go down the stairs. Slowly, you crept down the staircase, descending deeper into blackness as we went. At the bottom, the path split. The way to the left continued on to an atrium that resembled a sort of plaza, while the path to the right was a winding passageway that trailed off into the darkness. I guess we're gonna explore everything, but here, turn back. Wait, what? Took the corridor to the right, took the corridor to the left toward the terrace, went back, went down the side passage. Where did I come from? Okay, take corridor to the right. It said dead end, but continue onward past for the stairs and the side passage emerged into the main corridor. We found ourselves in front of some ornate double doors. Kid gently pushed a heavy door open and peeked inside. Doesn't look like anyone's in here. It seemed to be the main hall of the manor. There was a massive table. Oh my god, okay. There was a massive table, beautiful decorations on the walls, and thick columns decorated with sculptures of birds and beasts. Fixed to the wall in the back towered a tremendous pipe organ like a burnished black mountain. Dozens of candles provided a dim, flickering light, sending the corners of the room dancing in and out of shadow. Several enormous portraits glowered down from high on the wall. Were these members of Lynx's family? I was busy staring at a painting depicting a young husband and wife when I realized that their eyes had turned to look right at me. Okay, they hadn't. Don't worry, this isn't about to turn into some dumb ghost story. It just looked that way because of the way the flickering lights of the candles reflected against the glossy oil paints. Obviously. Probably. This place gives me the creeps, and get a load of all those ugly mugs. There's nothing for us here. Let's look somewhere else. Neither Maggot nor I had any objections. We left the hall and returned to the corridor. Okay, perfect. Suddenly, Kit stopped in her tracks. Something's there. I quickly looked around to see what it was. There was nothing behind us or in front of us. Where could it be? And then, just as I was trying to figure it out, the wall began moving. A rectangular section opened up and swung around, revealing two enormous goblins clinging to the back. It was like something from one of those stories about assassins sneaking around in old castles. Okay, what the heck? You, goblins, screamed Kid. They definitely look like goblins to me, maybe a touch on the large side. There were 4 in total, the 2 in front of us and 2 that appeared behind us, cutting off our path of escape. Mago rushed towards the 2 behind us. Meanwhile, Kid leapt at the 2 in front, holding her knife in both hands. I drew my knife and rushed to Kid's side. Crash! The spike of ball of a goblin's morning star smashed into the ground, crushing the stone flooring. Kid nimbly leapt up into the air, evading the attack, and landing on the goblin's exposed hand. She swung upward toward the goblin's head, plunging her knife into its left eye. Then she flipped backwards and stood ready for the next attack. That was Kid's style. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. The next goblin charged in, swinging its morning star towards me. I jumped back. We're not Kid. I jumped back to keep my distance. For a moment, I thought about copying Kid's trick, but I didn't have the confidence to pull it off. I was better off keeping an eye on my enemy and doing things my own way. Though I did wish I could fight like her. The goblin pulled the iron ball out of the floor and came at me, swinging it overhead. I'll go with option 1. I threw my knife, using the opportunity to steal the mace from the goblin's belt and get behind it. I threw my knife at the goblin's face. There was a squelch as it sank into the creature's right eye. I took the opportunity to slip by, grabbing its mace as I passed it. It turned, and I heaved the heavy weapon right at its face. It was all going so well until it wasn't. The goblin caught the mace just before it struck. I was in serious trouble. I let go of the mace. Something grabbed me and slammed me into the wall. The wind was knocked out of me and I fell to the ground. And then, as I was holding my chest and gasping for breath, I saw the goblin loom over me and burst into flames. A fireball! I looked to the side and saw Magiel walking towards me through the smoke. I thanked Magiel for his timely intervention. Struth, you're a gutless wonder, Surge, grumbled Kid. Business as usual had resumed, it seemed. Sometimes I really did despair. Would it have hurt her to offer a, "You hurt, mate?" just once in a while, if only to mix things up a bit? I'm a grown man, you know. I have feelings. But as ever, I said it only to myself, trying to tell her that for real would have been a swift route to an early Trying to tell her that for real would have been a swift route to an early grave and nothing else. So I let her words wash over me and did my best to stay strong. Kid's talking too much shit, bro. She needs to relax. Put her ass on the ground, bro. Woo! I'd taken a few knocks, but I was alright. A scrape or two wouldn't stop me. Maybe you ain't such a drongo after all. Just goes to show. Any old weirdo can make something of themselves if they put their mind to it. Kid's eyes glinted with mischief. We left the hall and returned to the corridor. Eventually it led us to an intersection. There were some stairs going down, and to the right, a dark side passage. We kept going straight on. We'd arrive back at the terrace. It's go down the stairs in the atrium. I don't know. Passageway on the right. We went down the stairs and took the passage to our right. Eventually we came across an ornate door on the right hand side. Okay, another door. Something smelled fresh and pleasant. Flowers? Was it coming from inside? Outside. We found ourselves in a tidy, welcoming room. The knickknacks and curios dotted around the place seemed to be well loved. The stately desk and the cozy-looking bed nearby, meanwhile, suggested the room's occupant was no stranger to luxury. Though the room was richly furnished, somehow it still felt awfully lonely. Kid took a quick look around before commenting, "It slinks this girl's room." A half-written letter on the desk and a teacup still warm suggested that the lady of the manor was still nearby, but it didn't seem that anyone was here now. We decided to search the room. Some charming flowers. Oh, that scared me. It's like a guy walking through the mirror. Some charming flowers, a discarded cotton handkerchief, a small bottle of perfume. Nothing that meant much to me, nor anything that seemed particularly valuable. Kids seemed to have the same impression and scanned the room clearly, not expecting to find anything. The only item of note was a small antique box, which bore a crest resembling a viper. I decided where to look next. Box. Picked up the little box. I gently opened the lid and was greeted by a soothing melody. Oh, the music box. Okay. A music box. There was something about that song. This is, I think, Chrono Cross's world map theme, or one of them. Yeah, it seems to be. It's like yes, same song. I know this tune. Kid was standing next to me, and I could see something had changed in her expression. You do, huh, kid? Someone used to sing it to me a long time ago. She turned her gaze downward and went silent. Kid? Startled, she turned to me. Her eyelashes glistened as if wet with dew. She walked to the door, not saying a word. Hey, kid. Wait up. We left the room. Was she crying? Was Kid crying? Maybe I was just seeing things. Rattle. Kid stopped us. There's something there. Another battle? I listened carefully. Rattle, rattle, rattle. A figure appeared in the darkness on the other side of the corridor. Enemy? Ooh, I like that. It's a skeleton. I like it. It's like a visual novel, like some turn-based battles. We readied ourselves for a fight. What was I going to do? I assessed the situation. We squared off against the skeleton. It threw the sword it was carrying to the ground and took a step forward. And then it twisted its body into a strange pose. Wait, is it doing what I think it is? It proceeded to contort itself further, adopting a shape that can only be described as highly suggestive. Wait, really? For a moment, no one knew quite how to respond. What the bloody hell? What should we... Wait, kid, look at Meg. Magil seemed completely bewitched. There's no way he'd be any use to us in this state. What were we going to do? Try to get Magil to snap out of it. Magil, put yourself together. I tried my hardest to get through to him. Wait, did the skeleton charm him? What did it do? Did it like shake? Oh yeah. And then Magil's like, oh. Magil, pull yourself together. I tried my hardest to get through to him, but he just carried on staring into space with a vacant look in his eyes. What the heck is wrong with him? What kind of weirdo gets his head turned by a bloody skeleton? Muttered Kid, turning back to face our foe. Well, can't be helped. It's only a bag of bones. We can handle this. She lunged toward the creature. The skeleton brought down its sword, but Kid nimbly dodged with a sidestep to the left, then took advantage of her momentum to kick it right in its side. Well, in the spine, close to the waist anyway. Crunch! The bone shattered, separating the skeleton into two halves. You did it! Piece of cake! The skeleton wasn't quite done yet, though. Supporting its upper body with its left hand, it quickly picked itself back up. And then, with its right hand, it flung its sword at me. Duck under the sword. I dodged by reflex, but I picked the wrong direction to dodge in. Clang! The hilt of the sword bashed into the side of my head like a hammer. Ah! I doubled over with pain. Take this! Kid rushed down the skeleton and shattered its skull with an almighty kick. The bones of its upper body fell to the floor with a clatter, and then finally, the creature lay still. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Don't get me wrong, just to clarify for people, this is not actually Chrono Cross. The actual Chrono Cross is like game, turn-based fighting, just like whatever. Like, you know, this is like an additional thing they added in this version of the game, the HD remaster or whatever. And it's something we never got in English-speaking regions, so it was like localized and stuff. Not entirely sure how it like position, like how it is, like is it the same timeline? Is it canon? Is it prequel? Is it canon, not canon type of thing? Is the main thing in my head I'm thinking about. Because Magil's not a character that I know. Surge and Kid shouldn't really be together in this moment. I don't know if that's the case for sure. I don't remember the same story like that. But it's kind of weird that they're like at the manor together. And this was something Japanese players already kind of been there, done that. But it's kind of nice. It's a visual novel with like a pick and choose your adventure type of vibe. And then they even do battles in it. Pretty cool. And it doesn't seem to be like too many like there's choices, but there's like no real dead end. It's kind of just, you know, no wrong answers. Anyways, the bones of its upper body fell to the floor with a clatter, and then finally the creature lay still. You all right, Surge? Yeah, I think so. That's that dealt with. Now, Kid turned her attention back to Magil. Can't believe this Drago though. Thwack! She brought her fist down hard on his head. Maybe that'll wake you up. Now, if we're done here, let's get a bloody move on. I'm like kind of confused what happened. Did the skeleton do like some charm move on Maggio? And he's just like, oh shit. What was I? Oh, ow. Ooh, I'd taken a few knocks, but I was alright. A scrape or two wouldn't stop me. Maybe you ain't such a drongo after all. Just goes to show, any old weirdo can make something of themselves if they put their mind to it. Yet she just keeps saying stuff like that. Kid's eyes glinted with mischief. It's like the same dialogue. Passage outside the room continued to our left and right. The path to the right led deeper into the darkness of the manor. Meanwhile, going left would take us to the atrium and another branch. Atrium. Continue down the corridor until we reach an intersection. There was a left turn in the corridor leading to some stairs going upward. Right, that's back where we came from. The corridor also continues straight on towards the entrance of to a large plaza-like atrium. Go to the atrium. Kid poked her head through the arch-shaped door and took a look around. Huh, it's big in here. Must be some kind of hall. We took a cautious look around, then entered one after another. Oh, that doesn't look creepy. We should completely break that thing right away, bro. That's like definitely gonna come alive and fight us. The atrium was like a beautiful plaza, complete with a statue that doubled as a fountain. Pillars and arches lined the walls, and in the center was a small pool of clear water, above which the statue stood. On the other side of the room, I could see another arch entrance like the one we had come through. Ooh, that's cold. Kid was scooping up water from the fountain. I went over to her, resting my hand on the edge of the marble basin, peered into the pool beneath. Shadows flickered underneath the water's surface. You reckon those fish are rare? As in, valuable? Kid leaned right over the edge. I couldn't see the bottom. I wondered how deep it was. The shadow of one of the fish grew larger and larger. Whoa, sensing danger, Kid leapt back from the edge. Clack! A fish leaped out from the water and snapped at her, its jaws bristling with razor-sharp teeth. Its mouth closed shut on the air where she had been only moments before, and with a splash, the fish darted back under the water. Pteranodons! Oh, their world's piranhas. Deadly carnivorous fish with razor-sharp teeth and powerful jaws that could snap a monster's horn in half. Staring in horror, I watched as dark shadows began to gather in what little of the pool I could make out. The pteranodons must have detected prey. Soon the room was filled with the sound of splashing and snapping as the fish teemed at the water's surface. Bloody hell. Even Kid was uneasy. She took another step back. How many pteranodons were there in the pool? The thought of what would happen if they all leapt clear of the water and attacked at once crossed my mind. A bead of cold sweat rolled down my forehead. Suddenly, the water coming from the statue turned crimson and shot out in a powerful jet that nearly touched the ceiling. Kid jumped back again. I just stood in shock, watching the torrent of water erupting from the statue. The scarlet waters continued to gush out from the fountain. The pool grew redder and started to overflow. We looked on, entranced. But the spell was soon broken when we realized that the water was starting to flow faster and faster over the rim of the basin. The pteranodons began to jump and snap at the water's surface with bloodthirsty glee. I was brought to my senses by the dull slapping sound of pteranodons hitting the floor. We stepped in to deal with the fish. What, you want to try and pick this little lot off one by one? Kid glared back at me, her face a picture of exasperated disbelief. Don't be a bloody idiot, Serge. You want to die here? While I stood there, my mouth agape, a pteranodon sank its teeth into my foot. A jolt of pain surged up my leg, making me jump. What was I going to do? Deal with the fish. What? You want to try? Oh, okay. Oh, you can speed it up. Rush back the way we came. Let's get out of here. In a panic, we splashed through the water back to the corridor we came from. The fangs of the pteranodon snapped at my legs, and I felt a searing pain, but I had to endure it if I had any hope of reaching the entrance. Breathing heavily, I finally found myself back in the corridor outside. Okay. Ooh, that was a close call. So that whole thing was a trap, eh? Talk about twisted. At least he's even more of a sick bastard than I thought. I was about to say he wouldn't have to be if he didn't have to guard against people like her breaking into his home, but I thought better of it. Well, at any rate, I think we consider that a dead end. Let's go back. Oh, okay. Defeated, we left the atrium. What, was the door on the other side locked? Something caused Kit to stop in her tracks. Hello, hello, what do we have here? She pointed to the side of the entranceway to the hall. I found myself face to face with a sculpture of an old man's face with a truly phenomenal beard. Who the hell is that? The sculpture's eyes seemed to be gleamed with life. For a piece of marble, it seemed almost too realistic. It's a mouth of truth, announced Magio. An enchanted statue that can tell you when you're lying. If it catches you out, it'll bite your hand off. Magio kept his explanation simple so that kid wouldn't drift off before he got to the important part. Huh? So what's it doing here then? I suspect it's part of a greater mechanism. Stick your hand in its gob, do you? Righto, let's see what happens, shall we? With a mischievous glint in her eye, Kid darted over and stuck her hand in its mouth without a moment's hesitation. She stood there for a moment waiting, but it didn't take long for her to get bored. Oh, nothing. Suddenly, I had an idea. Hey kid, who's the greatest thief who ever lived? Ah, me of course, you drong. Kid answered without a moment's hesitation, and then suddenly her face twisted with pain. The teeth of the marble statue clamped down on her hand. It bit me, she cried. Knock it off. Everyone knows it's the truth. Ow! The sculpture bit her again as soon as she spoke. Grr, you little. A cold sweat formed on Kid's forehead. The sculpture was tightening its grip. It won't let go until you say something true. Despite the obvious urgency of the situation, Magill was matter of fact as ever. Yeah, see? Just say anything, Kid. Anything, as long as it's the truth. Obviously, Kid wasn't listening. Instead, she just kicked awkwardly at the statue. Oi, beauty, let go of me bloody hand. She planted her feet to either side of its mouth and tried her hardest to pull herself out. She heaved, kicked, and stamped, grunted and strained. And then, finally, her hand popped free. I was taken aback by what I'd just witnessed, and I couldn't say a word. See? Told you it was the truth. Kid raised her hand in the air triumphantly, as if to demonstrate. I could see heavy bite marks. The sculpture hadn't come away from the struggle unscathed either. Kid's attempt to break free had left it cracked in several places. Magil pointed silently at part of it. I went to take a closer look and saw a pale, flesh-covered tongue. I expect we're supposed to put something there, commented Magil. Something? What, exactly? I replied. Kid stood there for a moment, lost in thought, and then she started to unload all the knickknacks she'd been carrying. Hold on. It was a strange collection of odds and ends pulled out from her pockets, her boots, and even from her braid. Oh, you can save. Yeah, this is pretty long. We're past the 1 hour mark. I'm actually enjoying it. It's just a lot of reading. My mouth is dry. Let me get some water. It was a strange collection of odds and ends, pulled out from her pockets, her boots, and even from her braid. All right, Serge, now it's your turn to have a go at that stupid statue. Kid grinned at me, holding her assortment of knickknacks out on the palms of both hands. I guess she decided that whatever further horrors the statue had in store, she'd rather not face them herself. Nice, kid. Real nice. Grumbling to myself, I reached out to pick an item. I chose... File a centipede? Tube of ballistic, dried grapes, length of fine thread, size of... I don't know what a petard is. Vellum scroll. I'm assuming since it's... a mirror? Maybe? Small silver mirror. I took the small silver mirror. The sculpture stared impassively, its marble beard still commanding my attention. I stuffed the mirror into its mouth. It didn't seem to be the right item for the job. Don't see any cavities. Yeah, very funny. Now give me favorite mirror back before that thing chomps it to pieces. She lost her patience and snatched it off me. It was a rather nice mirror. I picture her gazing into it as she braided her hair. Do you want to try something else? Asked Magill dryly. I chose... Scroll? I picked up the peculiar piece of parchment. Bracing myself, I shoved it into the mouth of truth. Ha ha ha, nice one, Mr. Master Thief. You think it's a magic scroll or something? Kid doubled over with laughter. I guess that didn't work. With a sheepish chuckle, I pulled it out again. Oops, my hand slipped, and the scroll unfurled. It was filled with strange symbols. Noticing the confused look on my face, Magill spoke up. It's a decoding chart used for the Imperial Guard's field reports. Huh? Well, it's all gibberish to me. Wouldn't be much of a code if it wasn't, would it? Kid muttered, witheringly. I was too embarrassed to reply. Once I'd clawed back some of my pride, I attempted a recovery. You'll, have to walk me through it sometime. She just pouted and looked away. Oh, so you can't read it either. Boy, can I pick my moments. Fine, if you're not going to take this seriously, we're leaving you behind. Sometimes she could be as cold as ice. I'd really done it now. She made to leave, but I grabbed her gently by the shoulder. Look, I'm not messing around. I'm sure this next idea is going to work. I'll believe it when I bloody well see it. Kid didn't seem convinced. The stakes were high. I looked again at her collection of knickknacks and chose... This is like what? Is it like a lie? I don't know what the hell this is. A sizable petard? I picked up the sizable petard. Anxiously, I shoved it inside the mouth of truth, but nothing happened. Let the professionals handle the surge. Kid shoved me aside. She was holding a match. Wait a second. You can't be serious. All the blood drained from my face. Deadly serious, mate. Before I could say another word, Kid lit the fuse. Hold on. Double check the recording. Okay, never mind. Oh, I can move the screen? Oh no, I don't want to do that. Okay. An explosion followed, accompanied by a puff of white smoke. When the smoke had cleared, the mouth of truth came into view once more, still intact, but now very badly cracked indeed. Not quite enough oomph to knock its block off, eh? Should have brought a bigger one. Kid stood there with her arms folded, calmly commenting on the mayhem she just caused. What do you think you're doing? I can't believe you just set that thing off like that. Kid shot me a look. What do you mean? What else are you gonna do with a bomb? She was a complete and utter liability. Well, any more ideas, Serge? Asked Kid breezily. I chose... Well, we'll just go down the list at this point. A file. I took the file and placed it inside the mouth of the marble sculpture. It didn't seem to be the right item for the job. Crunch, crunch, crunch. I was stunned. The mouth of truth had started chewing on the file. It was eating it. Ah! Kid screamed with rage. Me file, me lovely, scratchy, scrapey file. Oh, it's like a nail file. I thought it was like a file, like a folder, like a portfolio. I can't believe you just let that happen. Crunch. You're in big trouble now, mate. She was clenching her fists and trembling with fury. Sorry, I'll get you another one. I promise. I also want to add, just don't hit me, but thought better of it. I'll hold you to that, muttered Kid in a threatening grumble. If you're just gonna feed the statue all me stuff, we're done here. I promise that's not what I'm trying to do. You bloody better not be, made. Once again, she showed me her collection. I chose. We are gonna feed it everything. We're gonna get... Why the hell does she have a centipede? Oh, that is just... What are you doing walking around with a centipede in your pockets? I reeled back in disgust. This isn't your pet or something, is it? Don't be thick, Serge. It's a toy, not a pet. A toy? You could have picked something nicer. It is nice. Nice for giving people nasty surprises. She seemed to think this was an entirely reasonable attitude. Entirely reasonable to her, maybe. What was she doing with all this stuff? I reached for the rubber centipede. Trying not to think too hard about what I was doing, I stuck it into the mouth of truth, only for it to fall down the back of its throat. Serge, you'll pay for this, growled Kid, staring daggers at me. Yikes, I'll get it back, I promise. Stealing my nerve, I reached into the mouth of truth. Suddenly, my hair stood on end. It was licking my hand. The giant, uncanny tongue slopped back and forth across my fingers like I was a lollipop. Urgh, I'm gonna puke. Keep it together, Serge. Do it for the centipede. Kid's support didn't do much to help me, but I somehow managed to pinch the centipede with the tips of my fingers and pull it out. You must really love this thing. Not really. I just hate to see stuff go to waste. I'm sorry, what? Why had I even bothered? Well, no luck there either. Want to try something else? Asked Kid. Almost like this was a game. It is a game. I just wanted this to be over with. I reached out for the next item and chose... lipstick. Grapes. Here, let's do the fine thread. I took the piece of thread, a length of very finely spun silk. It didn't seem like a good idea to just shove it in, so I tried to dangle it into the statue's mouth. Watch yourself, that stuff ain't cheap. It's made by royal silkworms, I'll have you know. Kid watched me critically. The thread slipped deeper and deeper into the mouth of truth. And then I felt a slight tug. I tried winding it carefully back around my finger, and at the end of it was a small piece of paper. Nice one, Serge. That's gotta be a clue. Kid's eyes lit up with delight. Score! What's this? What's that? Kid looked confused for a moment, and suddenly the statue's tongue leaped out of its mouth. What the bloody heck? Kid leapt away like a startled cat. Boing! With Kid safely out of the way, I was the only target left within reach. It's all sticky. I'm gonna be sick. The tongue had covered my face with thick, warm saliva. But strangely, I felt a sort of glow in the places where it licked me. poison? My aching wounds began responding to the warmth. Mago was leaning against the wall, watching the spectacle in silence. I'm guessing that wasn't the one then? What next? Oh, jeez, okay. Let's give him lipstick. Maybe it's hungry. Give it dried grapes. Took a small bag of dried grapes. One by one, I fed them into the sculpture's marble maw. Munch, munch. Ugh, I actually ate them. That's enough, Serge. Those are my emergency rations you're wasting. Kid snatched the bag from my hands. I still had the last grape, though, so I popped it into my mouth. It was absolutely delicious. They're not for you either, sunshine, growled Kid, glaring at me. You gotta take this seriously, Serge, or I should leave you alone with Beardy here. She was clearly annoyed, but I hadn't worn her patience completely thin just yet. I decided to try something else. I chose... Bro, how many options? This is the final one. We did literally everything. Except for the last one. I picked up the small lacquered tube of lipstick, and without knowing quite why, smeared it all over the statue's mouth. What are you... Me lippy! Kid exploded with fury at the sight of the mouth of Truth's bright red lips. What are you getting so mad about? You don't even wear makeup. It's for marking our path to make sure we don't get lost. Huh? I didn't realize. Guess that would explain why you brought it with you. What exactly is that supposed to mean? What's so funny about me having lipstick anyhow? Grr. Gulp. Nothing at all. It didn't take much to tell that this was the calm before the storm. You'd better buy me some more when we're done here. Yep, she was mad, alright. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's just try something else. Kid gave me a doubting glare in response to my apology. Take this seriously, or I'm through with you. I gulped and nodded in a panic, then reached out for the next item. I chose... nothing, because this is definitely a waste of time. Unless this leads to the right choice, probably. I lingered for a moment, but pulled my hand away. It didn't seem like any of them was what we were looking for. Alright, let's just forget about it for now, muttered Kid, stowing all our valuables. I was sure we'd find a use for this stuff. Whatever. Let's get moving, eh? Defeated, we left the atrium behind us. Wow, that was all that for nothing, huh? Unless we have to find something and come back there. Continue. Did we already go in here? It was Riddell's room, Lynx's daughter. Wait, we already went in here, right? This is the place with the mirror? Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, we can speed it up. Oh. Wait, oh, this is new. A half-written letter on the desk and a teacup, still warm, suggested the lady of the manor was still near. A window... Wait, is this the same dialogue? It seemed that someone had been here only moments ago. Let's come back later. Okay. Yeah, I'm like not... I'm getting confused with like where my location is. Okay, go deeper in the darkness. We went down the dark passageway, eventually finding ourselves at a sturdy-looking, immaculately polished door. Kid sniffed at the air. Just as I thought, something stinks here. I reckon we found the beast's lair, lads. Oh, okay, cool. In the darkness, Kid's lip twisted into a grin that turned my blood cold. We went inside. Kid opened the door and slipped inside. It was Lynx's room, but he didn't seem to be around. Heh, the bugger's gone and scarpered because he heard I was coming. There was something deeply unpleasant about the room. There wasn't anything unusual about the furniture and fittings, not how they looked or how they were made, but taken as a whole, it all felt discordant. Was this a reflection of Lynx? A seemingly ordinary facade that hid a disturbing truth only some could see? Right, I bet we'll find the key to the vault in here, or a clue about where to find it. I started searching through the room. The desk drawers, the paintings on the wall, the vase on top of the side table. I left no stone unturned. There didn't seem to be anything suspicious. As I scanned the room, something unusual caught my eye. There was a pedestal in one corner with a significant-looking scarlet cloth drawn over it. I slowly raised my hand towards it. I carefully pulled the cloth away, revealing a mirror. It was old-fashioned and of an elaborately decorated style I'd seen before, and in it was reflected a statue of Venus. Suddenly, the eyes of the statue shone with light. Oh, that's creepy. It's moving its mouth too. What is your desire? The mirror, it's speaking. Kid and Mago ran to my side. There's no need for panic. It's a whispering mirror, nothing more, said Mago flatly. What's one of those? A magical mirror in which a spirit dwells. The spirit can freely move between its own and other mirrors and will share its wisdom with those who ask. Interesting. What should I ask it? I asked it where the key to the vault was. Do you know where the key to the vault is? The mirror's reflection rippled and changed to reveal a room with numerous bookshelves. Oh, the study. A deep, sonorous voice spoke. You will find the key in the place I have revealed, the study. It is inside a book with a purple cover in the furthest bookshelf from the door. Okay. The image of the study vanished from the mirror, and the voice went silent. It appears the spirit has left for another mirror, commented Magil. To the study, then. As I made to leave the room, a low voice rumbled through the air, stopping me dead in my tracks. Beware! He knows. Was it the voice of the mirror again? What did it mean? What, Lynx knows we're here? Hurry up or we're leaving you behind, Serge, called Kid from outside. Flustered, I rushed after her. Hey, guys, automatically take me to study, please? The corridor stretched out beyond the door. We retraced our steps. Leading the group as usual, Kid suddenly stopped. What's that? She jabbed her finger at something in the darkness. Straining my eyes, I could see a pale, white bundle of something shaking in the shadows. Huh? That's strange. I moved in front of Kid to try to get a better look. And then suddenly, the strange peasant started crawling across the floor towards us at an unbelievable speed. I didn't have time to brace myself. The white figure reached my foot, then reared up to its full height. Okay, that's kind of creepy. Oh, skeleton. It was a skeleton! Skeleton and I stood face to face, its empty eye sockets staring straight at me, or seeming to at least. What was I going to do? Tackle the skeleton. I charged in to tackle the skeleton. Yeah! There was a crunching sound and a clattering of bones as the skeleton was knocked back by the blow. Its body split clean in two at the waist. Better luck next time, muttered Kid dryly. As if in response, the skeleton's upper body picked itself up from the ground, turning its skull towards me. Balancing its body with its left hand, it then pulled the skull from its head with its right hand. What's it doing? Before I can get the words out, it had heaved its skull at me. What was I going to do? Catch it. Whip! I caught it in both hands and flung it back. Clack! I caught it and threw it right back. The skeleton's upper body reached out and grabbed it with its free hand. And then once again, it threw the skull back at me, and once again I caught it. Now what? Throw it on the ground. I slammed the skull into the ground. It smashed to pieces with a satisfying crunch, and as soon as it had, the skeleton's torso collapsed into a lifeless heap. Oh, its weakness is smashing the head. It won't be troubling us anymore. Time to move on. Cool. Phew, I'd taken a few knocks, but I was alright. A scrape or two wouldn't stop me. Well, that was another fine bloody mess. What did we even bring you for, Serge? Kids, cold... Oh, whatever. Eventually, we came across an ornate door on the left-hand side. It was Riddell's room, Link's daughter. Maybe she's back now, because we triggered the other thing. Okay. We already went in here, right? Yeah, we did. Why is the leaf flying? Okay, she's still not here. Okay. We have to make our way back to the study. Passage outside the room continued to our left and right. Going right would take us to Link's room. Meanwhile, going left would take us to the atrium in another branch. Okay, so go left. Continue down the corridor until we reach an intersection. There's a left turn in the corridor leading to some stairs going upward. The corridor also continues straight on toward the entrance to a large plaza-like atrium. Okay, we go up the stairs. With Kid leading the way, we start to climb the narrow staircase. At the top, we found another intersection. Taking the corridor to the right would lead us to a dead end with a large door, while the way to the left to the terrace. The narrow side passage in front of us was open. We went down the side passage toward the study. We headed down the side passage. At the end of it, we came to an old, immaculately polished door. This was the study. Go inside. Right, let's find a key. Light on her feet as always, Kid moved into the center of the room. Where'd the mirror say it was again, Serge? She was asking me? How was I supposed to remember? It's the purple. It's purple cover in the far bookcase. I think it's supposed to be the one with purple cover in the furthest bookcase. All right, let's see. Seem me to take my word for it. Kid made for the case in question. Right, this is the one. Purple cover, purple cover. Aha, this has got to be it. Kid pulled out a book from the bottom shelf. Maggie and I watched as she opened it. The pages were hollowed out, and hidden inside was an old key decorated with strange symbols. Nailed it. Nice one, Serge. Kid snatched a key from inside of the book. Right, time to finally get a look at this treasure. Having got what we came for, we left the study. We made our way back down the dark side passage leading from the study. Eventually, we arrived back at the intersection. Some stairs led downward, and the corridor branched left and right, the right branch leading back towards the terrace. I don't remember. Main hall? Oh no, not the main hall. Turn back. Should be a locked door somewhere, right? Turn back, and then maybe go straight to the dead end. No, did I choose the wrong? I chose the wrong option. Okay, back to the terrace. Out to the terrace. Oh, right. This is the beginning. Okay. I'm starting to like go right. Starting to get the bearings of the area layout. I'm trying to mentally map it too. Looked like this was the way into the clock tower. Wait, did I go in here before? Oh yeah, we were in here before. Yeah, okay, the lady's not here either. I'm just gonna keep going back. It's like a locked door or something. I can't remember. Go right down the corridor. Yeah, okay, there. Well, this door's clearly meant to keep something safe. If there ain't some kind of treasure behind it, me name ain't kid. We went inside. This should do it. Kid slipped the key we found into the lock. Okay, perfect. Lines of magical light flash across the surface of the door and vanish as various magical barriers were dispelled. Up, down, left, right, blue, red, green, every color under the sun, and then all was quiet, and the darkness of the manor returned. Right, we're in. With a creak, the heavy door gently swung open. Okay. As soon as I saw what was inside, I gave a gasp. Kid stepped in. Whoa, we've hit the mother lode. Ooh. Out of the darkness loomed a veritable mountain of gold, silver, priceless works of art, and exquisite trinkets. Kid looked as if she were on the verge of drooling at the sight of it all, but what thief wouldn't have been? After all, this was the kind of hoard that few people would ever come across in their lifetime. The smallest fraction of this vast mound of riches would have seen even the most careless spendthrift set for life. Our goal is the frozen flame. Ignore the rest. Magiel spoke with an icy dedication to our mission. He had not even batted an eyelid at the sight that greeted us. Yeah, I know. She was disappointed, of course. But she soon set about scanning the room for the object of our hunt. Wait, is that it? Look, on the pedestal over there. I turned to see what Kid was pointing at. I mean, it's a flame, but it doesn't seem frozen. There it was. A small, yet perfectly formed jewel that gave off a pale, red light. A jewel that looked like a flickering fire suspended in time. Jewel that looked like... Okay. The frozen flame. Silently, Magiel walked toward the pedestal. I called out. Wait, we have to be careful. You're right. This is Lynx we're dealing with after all. It may very well be trapped. We should be on our guard. Right, we need to be quick about this. But fine, have it your way, grumbled Kid, looking away. Magill examined the pedestal for a short while, then paused. We were wise to be cautious. Placing his left hand on the base of the pedestal, he muttered an incantation, drawing quick sigils in the air with his right hand. Some glyphs appeared on its smooth surface, and for a moment blazed brightly. There, now we can proceed. Magill calmly reached out and grabbed a hold of the red jewel. Dun-da-da-da! Surge and friends obtained the frozen flame. Phew, we managed to get what we came for without anything horrible happening to us. I breathed a sigh of relief and turned again to Magill. He was staring silently at the jewel in his hands. Magill, we did it. Let's get out of... Before I could finish, the frozen flame crumbled to dust. This flame was a fake. Lynx must be keeping the real one somewhere safe. What? Suddenly, a siren rang out. The room was flooded with light, and metal bars slammed down in front of the door. I turned with a gasp to see Kid frozen, an ornate crown in her hands, and a wide-eyed look of awkward shock on her face. Da-da-da-da! Kid and friends obtained a golden crown too. You're kidding me, right? You had to go and... You complete bonehead! I let rip with a stream of choice insults, in my head, that is. Metallic parrots in the four corners of the room suddenly came to life, flapping their wings and screeching. Beams! Beams! We're in trouble. These things are going nowhere, said Magill, inspecting the bars covering the door. Although to look at him, you wouldn't have thought there was anything wrong. Which way? Which way? The parrots! The parrots! To the vault! The vault! We heard voices in the distance. The manor guards were coming. Kid dived behind a pile of gold coins. Find somewhere to hide. In a panic, I looked around the room. There was a large chest sitting wide open next to a pillar. I rushed to empty it out, then plunged in headfirst and closed the lid. He hides in a treasure box. Got him. Got him. There's no sign of anyone in there. No sign. Strange. Peculiar. No one has ever escaped before. None have ever fled the mousetrap's clutches. None. I gently pushed up the lid of the chest and peeked through the gap. There are 5 goblins wearing suits of armor, unlocking the gate and about to make their way inside. One of the goblins looked around the room, jerking his head as he peered into the shadows. Captain, what if it actually was a mouse this time? Chef was grumbling about mouses the other day, Captain. A mouse? A rodent? A rat? Would a teeny tiny thing like that really have sprung the trap? Replied a stocky, plump-looking goblin, who must have been the captain. He didn't seem convinced. That was when I heard a strange but oddly familiar sound from the corner of the room. Squeak, squeak. It was coming from where Kid was hiding. Startled, the troop of goblins stopped and looked at each other. For a moment, none of them spoke. Eventually, the goblin captain rubbed his chin through his jowls and offered his thoughts. Mouses? I'm sure Chef was complaining about cats. Meow! Meow! Oh, that voice again. Again, silence. The goblins only looked at each other. Funny you should say that, Captain. The way I heard it, it weren't mouses or cats. It was a hecaran. An awkward silence followed. In my mind's eye, I could see Kid racking her brains to work out what a hecaran was. Me too. I smelled a rat, by which I mean a thief. Following the captain's lead, the guards reached out for the weapons, and then... Heck. Heck, heck, heck. Heck, 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 heck. Hecka, heck, heck. Ran, hecka, ran. Listen, it really is a hecaran. By heck, that proves it. The goblin guards grinned and nodded to each other. Cheeky little devil, surprised me there. Let's get out of here, boys. The goblins filed out of the vault. I breathed a sigh of relief. And then they came charging back in again with a mighty roar. There's no such thing as hecarans. What? You sneaky little buggers, roared the Kid, leaping up from behind a pile of gold coins. You're one to talk, thief. Brandishing their weapons menacingly, the goblins moved slowly forward, forcing Kid into a corner. I quietly eased open the lid of the coffer and slipped out. Can't leave you anywhere, can I muttered to myself. I knew Kid could handle herself, but I didn't fancy her odds against a whole troop of heavily armed goblins. For a moment, I wasn't sure what to do, but then I made up my mind. Had to save Kid. Right, I had to save Kid. There was no way I was going to abandon a friend in need. Even if it meant facing off against a group of 5 goblin guards, I'd find a way to come out on top. I hoped. I drew the knife from my belt and leapt into the middle of the room. Hey, snot for brains, over here! The goblins all turned to look at me at the same time. 10 beady, cruel eyes, little eyes, all staring daggers at me. Fool! In a hurry to die, are we? I gulped and wondered if making a run for it might have been a better plan of action after all. Ah, humans are so stupid. The goblin captain chuckled and licked his teeth. Yep, this one's got a death wish, alright. Why else would he be so stupid as to come after Lord Lynx's treasure? Ha, that's a first. Being called dumb by a bloody goblin. Try acting tough when you're crying to your mom later on. Judging by Kid's response, she wasn't feeling massively threatened. And you tell her it was Kid who kicked her teeth in. So you're Kid, are you? The sneaky little, slippery little thief we've heard so much about? The goblin narrowed his eyes. Yeah, Lord Lynx will be thanking me from now until my retirement when I bring him your head on a silver platter. The goblin captain pulled his morning star from his waist and started swinging. You don't know who you're messing with. We ain't no ordinary goblin, sweetheart. We're Lord Lynx's elite guard. The goblins that gobble other goblins. That's right. The Gob Squad. Oh, quit shouting your mouth off and let me stick a boot in it. And with that, Kid launched into a lightning-fast spinning kick. Her boot connected with the side of Goblin's head with a crack, sending the creature tumbling to the ground. Get him, lads. The boy looks scrawny. Start with him. The goblin captain spun the heavy metal ball off his morning star in the air. Glorious Gob Strike! Aye, aye. The goblins changed charge across the room in response to their captain's command. Gob Strike, incoming! A goblin rushed towards me, swinging its weapon overhead. Parry. I readied myself to parry. I just about managed to push my enemy's attack aside and try to strike back with my knife, only for the goblin to knock away my attack with a flick of its brawny arm and send me crashing into the ground. The shock sent a... I like lettuce on my mouth. Okay. The shock sent a flash of bright white light singing through my head. Another of the goblins hesitated for a moment, only to be run through by a spear of pure lightning conjured up by Magil. The goblin let out a blood-curdling howl as electricity coursed through its body. It clutched awkwardly at its chest where it had been struck, its face contorted with agony and horror. Magil's cape fluttered, and his piercing eyes stared coldly at his victim. None who defy me shall escape my wrath. Another goblin flew down from overhead. Bombs away! With a growl, it sent its morning star swinging from above. I jumped up for a counterattack. I was better off attacking than trying for a clumsy dodge. I tackled the goblin head on. Literally, I smashed my skull into the goblin's grim visage as hard as I could. A shock ran through my neck and shoulders like I'd been brained with a hammer. But it was worth it. Teeth and spittle flew left and right as the great ugly brute rolled stunned across the floor. A blazing pain seared through my mind, and I fell to my knees. Another of the goblins hesitated for just a moment, only to be run through by a spear of pure lightning conjured up by Magil. The goblin let out a blood-curdling howl as same thing. Clutched awkwardly at its chest where it had been struck, its face contorted with agony and horror. Magil's cape fluttered, and his piercing eyes stared coldly at its victim. None who defy me shall escape my wrath. Gob Strike, incoming! A goblin rushed towards me, swinging its weapon overhead. I swiftly dodged the attack. The morning star brushed past my cheek. I don't know how, but I managed to escape unscathed. I lost my balance, though, and fell clumsily to the floor. Kid lashed out with a lightning-fast kick. There's more where that came from. Please, have mercy. The stricken goblin had collapsed to the floor, its eyes wide with fear. This isn't a game, Surge. Watch yourself, will ya? Long live Lord Lynx! Glory to the Gob Squad! With these final words, the goblin collapsed. That was the last of them. We made it. Da, da, da. Ha, piece of cake, said Kid, putting a brave face on things as she wiped the sweat from her brow with her arm. And then she stopped and looked at me. Surge, what were you thinking, you great dongo? Getting the goblins to come after you like that? You really didn't have to, you know. Still, thanks. Can't say I wasn't happy to see your crazy arse jump in like that. She was actually smiling at me. Kid's smile kindled a light inside me, and with it, a peculiar warmth that came in ripples. And then Magil stepped in. Save the chatter for later. We can't waste any more time here. The frozen flame must be somewhere else in the manor. All right, mate. Thanks for stating the obvious. It's not my bloody fault that Lynx has to make things so bloody difficult for everyone. Kid spun on her heel and made a sulky about face for the door. Suddenly, her attention returned to the pile of defeated goblins. This bunch of jongos said they're Lynx's elite guard, right? Bet they've got some nice loot on them. With that, she started unceremoniously rummaging through the fallen captain's pockets. She was like a hyena sniffing for scraps. Hello, what's this? She found an odd metal plate. It resembled an open hand and was covered in runes. Ah, we put that in the statue's mouth, don't we? Reckon this might open some other magic door somewhere. I'll never know when it might come in handy either. Either way, finders keepers. The plate was vanished into Kid's pocket. Yeah, okay. We're gonna go back to that statue and offer up that plate. Looks like there's nothing else worth taking, unless you count pocket lint and bits of string. She rose to her feet and looked around the room. You know, it's a real shame to leave the rest of all this loot just sitting here unloved. Suppose we can come back for it whenever. Kid turned to face us and flashed a grin. All right, lads, get a move on. It ain't gonna be dark forever. That hand-shaped plate is our only clue for now, muttered Magil seemingly to himself. With that, we left the vault in search of the real frozen flame. Okay, it's definitely that statue. I want to go back there. We'll make our way back. There's a staircase, right? Down the stairs. Where's that statue? Maybe it's... Oh, maybe she's back. Let's just go check. Same thing. It's all the same. It says let's come back later, so I'm assuming it's gonna make me come back here later. Let's go to Link's room. Oh, this is where you've been hiding, Lynx, yelled Kid as she barged into the room. What? Is Lynx here? I followed after her, panicking. Where is he? Kid was just standing there, clearly not in any danger at all. It was a joke, idiot. All the strength drained from my body. Thought I was serious, did you? Chuckled. Kid, trying not to laugh too hard. I bet you wish you were living the easy life rather than trapezing around after me, eh? Your face. I ignored her and walked over to the mirror draped with the red silk cloth. Hi there, sorry about all the noise. The statue of Venus in the mirror giggled back at me. That's quite all right, Surge. What is your desire? Came her husky alto. Nothing much, just thought I'd check up on you since I was here. You mustn't say such things, your friends will become envious, she giggled mischievously. What? The statue's like flirting me, or what's going on? You what? Said Kid, her voice completely flat. Ah, and why would I be envious? Please, there's no need to get upset. I have a gift for you. Oh yeah? Yes, well, one might call it that. You see, I thought you might be interested to see what it's like inside the mirror. Wait, so you're inviting us to the realm of mirrors? Kid's interest was suddenly piqued. It won't take up much of your time. Come, Kid, step inside. The surface of the mirror rippled like water. Kid reached out her hand toward the glass, then hesitated. She deliberated for a moment before finally pulling it back. You go first, Serge. You're her favorite. Are you sure? Kid nodded, and filled with excitement, I pressed my hands to the mirror. The surface was like cool water on my fingertips. No, Serge, you mustn't. Oh, is it for her? Because she's trying to kill her? Because she's trying to... Suddenly, cracks formed in the glass. What is this, like an evil mirror or a statue? I gasped. What's happening? The statue in the mirror was weeping. I wish you weren't so trusting. You forget that I serve Lynx. What? I blurted out. I meant to trap you and your friends. The cracks in the mirror grew bigger, splintering off into more and more smaller cracks. And that is not all. I foresaw your coming long ago and warned Lynx of it. But why? You were imprisoned here by Lynx, weren't you? Sighed Majo. The statue of Venus nodded mournfully. He sealed the path to mirrors beyond, preventing me from leaving the manor. Were someone to shatter all the mirrors within the manor's walls, I would be doomed. I would vanish, separated from my siblings forever. It was like a sad mirror tale. Mirror entity. Eventually, the statue raised its head, but I cannot stand to be at his mercy anymore. The cracks deepened further, and the shards of glass began to fall to the floor. Stop! I can't let you do this, I yelled, grabbing the mirror's frame with both hands. This is what I want. Lynx will not suffer me to live after betraying him, said the image in the mirror, looking at me. But why are you trying to help us? Will that be your final question, Serge? Something in its voice felt like the trace of a smile. Very well, the truth is, I. But just then, the mirror finally split from top to bottom. The image's lips moved gently, but no words came. I tried to scream, but I could do little more than whimper. I took a shard of glass from the floor and gripped it tightly in my hand. Serge? Behind me, Kid was soft calling my name. I gave a slight nod and slowly turned around. Let's go. As we left the room, I turned to look back one last time, my eyes coming to rest on the remains of the mirror. I'd never be able to hear her voice again. Come on, Serge. Like, how are you gonna, like... I turned again and left the room. What was that all about? Why is Serge just, like, feeling a type of way with the statue? And the statue and him are, like, having a back and forth, like, flirty and shit. Quarter stretch out on the door. Maybe she's here now. I'll have to keep checking or something. She's still not here. I have to go to that statue. I don't know where it is. Okay. I'll go to the atrium again. Gotta be kidding me, shouted Kid, glaring at me. Are you telling me to swim through a bloody lake of pteranodons? Yeah, you can count me out, mate. How am I supposed to charm me victims with big chunks bitten out of me? I guess she had a point. Here's a better plan. Why don't we go back to Beardy? Yeah, exactly. Why don't we go back to Beardy and try sticking something down his gob? Oh, there we go. Sure enough, she pulled... Oh, okay, cool. Sure enough, she pulled out her bundle of odds and ends. Do I have to? I asked, knowing the answer, which is probably just as well, since Kid only glared at me in response. My hand hovered for a moment before I finally reached for something. I chose the hand-shaped plate. Took the hand-shaped metal plate we found. After taking another look at the runes, I was no closer to working out what they might mean. Here goes nothing. I stuck the plate into the mouth of Truth's marble maw. As soon as I did, its eyes rolled upward, and the wall gave a light judder. A low rumbling sound came from the sculptor's mouth. This, indeed, is the ultimate truth of the universe. Did you hear something? Yeah. I watched the mouth of truth in confusion. Its great marble tongue lolled out, almost like a snake. Meow. Hello, Contra. They coiled around the plate, seizing it and pulling it deep inside. What the? What's going on? In a panic, I looked to Magil for answers. Seems this ineffable truth of the universe has left even the mouth of truth tongue-tied. Magil answered in his usual deadpan manner. I think he might even have been trying to make a joke. Hang on, so that plate thingy revealed the truth of the universe? And you went and crammed it down the beardy skullet? Do you realize how much we could have sold that for? Kid kicked the floor in frustration and snapped her fingers. And then drains on all sides of the room suddenly opened wide. The red water formed eddies as it sank away. Helpless, the pteranodons were washed away with the current. Soon only trickles of water were left, slowly dripping away. Well, that's a stroke of luck, ain't it? Guess we won't be sleeping with the fishes tonight, grinned Kid, looking at the empty pool. We crossed the drained room, making for the exit on the other side, and pressed on. Pretty cool. What? Wait, what? Oh, left? I don't even know where I am. Bloody marvelous. Another... Oh, is this past the atrium? Bloody marvelous. Another bloody door with a bloody magic barrier on it. Wonder what's inside. Me sixth sense telling me ain't treasure. Kid whispered back to us as she examined the door. I suspect that this is the Manor's dungeon, replied McGill, his eyes closed in concentration. I can hear the sound of someone moaning in the darkness on the other side. Well, there's nothing we can do, and thus it is of little concern to us now. Let us turn back. No way of getting through the door, we retraced our steps down the corridor. Oh. A scream pierced the darkness, turning my blood to ice. I realized then that a pair of crazed, blood-red eyes was staring into the depths of my soul. It was a griffin. In a panic, I tried to slip the knife from my belt, but before I could draw my weapon, the griffin had spread its powerful wings and swooped towards me with an almighty screech. I was knocked back and sent rolling across the ground. I gasped with pain as the wind was knocked out of me. Surge, you okay? Every nerve in my body was screaming with pain. I held back the groans and staggered to my feet. I looked up to see the massive griffin in front of me. Its hellish red eyes stared down its beak. It was going to attack. What could I do? I ducked. Almost by reflex, I ducked the attack. The creature lunged at me with its razor-sharp beak. Ah! A sharp pain tore through my shoulder. Clutching my wounded shoulder, I rolled away to put some distance between us, then turned to face the griffin again. As the beast's mad red eyes glared at me, I desperately tightened my grip on my knife. I attacked. I reversed my grip on my knife and plunged it into the griffin's neck with all my might. The beast screamed and contorted with agony. I'd done it. I landed a blow, and a telling one at that. The griffin shook its head with rage. I pulled my knife and then rolled away from it. Don't move, Surge, yelled Kid from behind me. Suddenly, she landed on my shoulders, then leapt up into the air. Crack! Her knee crashed into the side of the creature's skull, making a crunching sound I could feel in my bones. The griffin screeched in agony. The griffin stiffened, suddenly becoming completely rigid. Its eyes rolled into the back of its head, and it fell to the ground with an almighty crash. We'd done it. We'd actually managed to defeat a griffin. More like Kid had managed to defeat a griffin. Phew. I fell to my knees, overwhelmed by what I had just been through, but glad it was all over. Hold on. I was dry as heck. Dang, we've been here for almost 2 hours. I was starting to feel a little worse for wear. I was going to have to be more careful from now on, or this was going to end badly. Maybe he ain't such a drongo after all. Just goes to show, any old weirdo can make something of himself if they put their mind to it. Kid's eyes glinted with mischief. She keeps saying that. After making our way down the dark corridor, we came to a branch in the path. The path to the right would take us back to the atrium with the fountain. The corridor also continued directly ahead, but the way was completely enshrouded in darkness. Continue straight on. We continued down the dark, dank corridor until some stairs leading downward finally came into my view. Okay, going down the stairs. Slowly, we crept down the staircase, descending deeper into the shadows as we went. the bottom, we found ourselves at another intersection. The dim, narrow passageway branched left and right. Okay, go with right. We followed the corridor for a while before coming across a small door. Get a whiff of that. Something smells good, whispered Kid, sniffing at the air. We opened a door. Blimey, this is a small kitchen. Must be for the servants, commented Majo. I scanned our surroundings. A basin for washing dishes, cooking utensils, some food made ready for tomorrow, and a mousetrap. It looked like any other commoner's kitchen. Kid walked over to a large pot filled with food and peered inside. Looks like tomorrow's lunch. Want to try some, Serge? I was feeling hungry. Timidly, I peered into the pot. It looked like stew, and it didn't smell bad at all, almost inviting. I scooped some up with a ladle and brought it to my mouth. Gulp. It was delicious. This stuff's delicious. You should grab a bowl, Kid, I urged between bites. Kid was looking at me again, staring at me intently. In fact, like she was searching for something. Well, you ain't going green or nothing. Guess it's safe. Did she use me to test if it was poisoned? All right, let's have a try. She licked her lips with anticipation and swiped my spoon right out of my hand. Fancy a taste, Mag? No. Kid grabbed a bowl from nearby and began spooning out more. I did the same. We ate our fill. The stew was still warm, and it felt as though the magic of fresh home cooking was easing my wounds somewhat. Suddenly, a little voice rang out. You there, the young man with the braid. Huh? Kid froze. Oi, who you calling a bloke? Kid barked angrily in the direction of the voice was coming from. A mouse was looking at us with eyes like saucers from the inside of a mousetrap hanging from the wall in a corner of the room. Oh, I am sorry. You're a young lady, I see. The mouse bowed its head in apology. Please, kind young lady, you must hear me out. The mouse put its paws together and stared pleadingly at Kid. I left the nest to find food for my mother, but as you can see, I managed to get myself caught in a trap. This mouse is speaking full-ass English to me. If you leave me here, I will surely be eaten by goblins. Kid eyed the little creature suspiciously. Eaten by goblins? Wait, that's stew. Wait, what? Oh! Wait, that's stew. Putting two and together, Kid ran for the sink. I beg of you, please free me for this trap. My mother is sick, and she'll be terribly worried about what has become of me. The mouse was clearly begging for its life, but there was also an odd little glint in its eye. Yeah, a mouse is probably an op working for Lynx. Meanwhile, Kid was at the sink. I'm never gonna get that taste out of my mouth. I'll be buggered if I'm hanging around here any longer. So what? They're like cooking mice and eating mice, like a mouse stew. Kid had returned from the sink, only to stamp off toward the door. She was looking very green around the gills. Kindly, young lady, I don't suppose you could free me first? You got yourself in this mess. You can sort it out yourself. Kid all but spat on the ground as she left the room. The mouse's eyes swelled up as it looked at me. Young man, please, you're my only hope. I'll free the mouse, bro. The mouse is probably gonna snake me. God, fine. Unable to bear it staring at me anymore with those pleading eyes, I lifted down the cage and opened the door. The mouse bounded happily out from inside. The mouse gave a wicked chuckle. You poor, naive fool. Suddenly, its body began to balloon massively in size. Oh, it's a giant rat. I'm gonna fight. Oi, Serge, what are you doing? Kid stopped in horror the moment she opened the door. Oh, it's another griffin? Bugger me, a griffin! The enormous creature stared balefully down at us. Idiot humans. My mother is not sick, but yours will be when she sees what I've done to you. Good going, Serge. You're a bloody liability, you are. Oof, okay, maybe I made a mistake, but she didn't have to rub it in like that. Why would I think a mouse that's trapped is gonna transform into a griffin? The griffin gave an almighty cry and leapt right at us. Its razor-sharp talons sliced through the air, raking down toward me. I jumped away with the backstep. Caught off guard, I tried my best to dodge the attack, but the blow never came as the griffin suddenly lost his balance and came crashing to the ground. Oh, bother. I'm too hungry to even fight properly. What on earth? I breathed a sigh of relief, running a hand down my chest. Alright, little mouse. Now it's time for the real show to begin. Kid walked up to the griffin, cracking her knuckles. Gulp. Please, kindly, young lady, this is all a misunderstanding. A terrible misunderstanding. Panicking, the creature leapt to its feet. You can't kill me. I have useful information. If you let me go, I promise I'll tell you everything I know. Everything. Yeah, I know how much a promise from the likes of you is worth. Kid took another step towards the griffin, not skipping a beat. Rah! Please. Kid kept on coming. The griffin kept on shrinking away. Enough. Mago called for Kid to stop. Let's hear it. Oh, thank you, kind sir. The griffin was beside itself with relief. Spoil my fun, why don't you? Grumbled Kid, pouting as she turned away. Listen well, O merciful savior. Right, thrice. Left, twice. Right, twice. Should you find yourself trapped in one of Lynx's swirling snares, remember my words. Yay. Right 3, left 2, right 2. 3, 2, 2, right, left, right. Okay. I'll try to remember that. With that, the griffin returned to its mouse-like form and disappeared into a small hole in the wall. Trapped in Lynx's snares. Huh, as if I'd be thick enough to walk into one of his traps. Let's get out of here. We've wasted enough time already. Kid turned on her heel and made for the door. We left the kitchen. Okay. Leaving the room behind us, we took a right turn down the corridor. We followed it for a while before coming to an intersection. The way to the left ended at a staircase going up. The corridor also continued directly ahead, but the way was completely enshrouded in darkness. We press on. We continued down the corridor until it ended at a large door covered in scratches and other odd marks. Above the door was a wooden plate. It bore the legend, guard room, in an elaborate calligraphy. Well, reckon this might be where to find the key to that door upstairs. No getting past that bloody magic barrier without it. Kid pressed an ear against the door and listened carefully. Doesn't sound like anyone's in there, she whispered. Okay, let's go inside. Kid opened the door. The room had seemed completely silent from the outside, and so we had thought it would be empty, but there inside was a lone goblin. It was sitting in a chair with a book in its hand. A light steam drifted from the teacup on the table in front of it, and with it, a delicate aroma. Oh. The goblin peered at us curiously over its spectacles. There was something different about this one. I could tell as much as at a glance. Heavens, how rare is it to have guests? Heavens, how well spoken for a goblin. I could only feel dread and suspicion at the sight of him, nonetheless. Sorry, mate, but we're not your guests. Cough up the key to the dungeon if you want to live. Kid slammed her knife into the table to illustrate her point, but the goblin didn't so much as flinch. Ah, you must be Kid. What a pleasure this is. I have always wanted to meet you. Why, you're even more ravishing than the rumors would. Before the goblin could finish, Kid's knife flew through the air. With a quick flick of his wrist, the goblin caught the blade with the back of his book, a mere inch from his face. I see that your approach is as radical as the name of your merry band would suggest, the goblin said, pulling the knife free and handing it back to Kid. She took it without word, but her gaze had changed. She was like a cat, cautiously studying its prey. And I was just getting to the good part too. Oh well, I suppose I shall have to give up on ever finishing it now. The goblin casually flung the book over his shoulder and into a nearby bin. Allow me to introduce myself, if I may. I am Grismeld, and I am the guard on watch. No need to stand. Please do take a seat. You're welcome to tea, of course. The goblin beckoned us to sit down. Did he mean to poison us? If I may. Mago calmly took a seat, ignoring the obvious suspicion in the air. I looked at Kid. Confused by how at home Mago seemed, I looked at Kid. She remained where she stood, seemingly unsure what to make of the goblin, but apparently quite sure she wasn't going to sit down. I decided to stay standing as well. The goblin poured 3 cups of tea. Here you are. Without the slightest hint of hesitation, Mago took his teacup and lifted it to his lips. He sipped, then placed the cup back on its saucer. Himalayan tea. Not a blend I'd expect to find here. What a pleasure it is to encounter a fellow connoisseur. Yes, it is a rare blend, and one mainly enjoyed by the noble classes. I couldn't believe the conversation I was hearing, but I also couldn't help wondering what this rare tea might taste like. My eyes rested on the cup that had been poured for me. Yeah, I drank the tea. I took a seat and picked up the teacup. This is great, I blurted out. I'd never had such a delicious brew in my entire life. My aches and pains faded away. I glanced over at Kid, who was blowing maniacally at the liquid in her cup. I'd forgotten that she was paranoid about burning her mouth on things. I kinda am too, actually. It's like a random. Now that we're comfortable, let's get down to brass tacks, as they say. Brass tacks, as they say. I do indeed have the key to the dungeon, as you surmised, but you will also be aware that I cannot simply give it away. I glanced over to Kid again. Typical. She wasn't listening to a word Grismel was saying. She was still huffing and puffing at her tea. It seemed it would be up to me to respond. Suppose that means you want something in return? You'd like to know what I want? I want your heads. Grismel's eyes glistened behind his spectacles. I pulled out my knife. Or rather, I'm sure that's what my employer would have me say. But no, I have no such barbarous aspirations. Furthermore, I doubt I'd be a match for you. Grismel chuckled as he said this. What I live for is the joy of conversation, which I fear my compatriots are ill-equipped to supply. Perhaps you might have one or two ripping yarns to share. Grinning, he added, I'm sure notorious thieves such as yourselves must have more than a few thrilling tales up your sleeves. So you wanted to hear a story. That seemed a more than fair price to pay for the key. I closed my eyes and thought, aha, I know just the story. How did it begin? One night, a young girl was walking alone in the forest, and then she was searching for a golden sunflower, the only way to cure her sick mother's illness. Then the poor girl went without food for 3 days and 3 nights. The fragments I remember seemed about right. There was only one way the story could end. I took a breath and began my tale. One night, a young girl was walking alone in the forest. She was searching for a golden sunflower, the only way to cure her sick mother's illness. The poor girl went without food for 3 days and 3 nights, and then, in her moment of darkest despair, she saw a brilliant light. It was none other than the golden sunflower she sought. The young girl gratefully pocketed the sunflower seeds. These will surely save my mother, she thought, but it was all a dream. With a smile on her face, the girl drifted off and dreamed forevermore. That was beautiful, murmured Kid, wiping a tear from her eye. Grismel frowned. Not quite what I was expecting, and not the most riveting of tales, but I suppose it'll do. Man, shut the fuck up. The key, as promised. I took it from Grismel's hands. Something didn't seem right, though. Was he really going to give it up so easily? And was it really alright to trust a strange goblin? Such a strange goblin? Grismel seemed to notice my suspicion. He leaned back into his chair, looking at the ceiling. When I was a young tyro, a braver, stupider goblin, I once served General Viper, who was the lord of this manor, until his betrayal by Lord Lynx. Okay, there we go. So, Lord Lynx betrayal. I don't know if that's going to be the case also in the actual Chrono Cross, but let's just go with it for now. Assume it's true in the actual game. Despite my boorishness, Lady Riddle always saw something in me worthy of praise. Wait, Riddle? What's Lynx's adopted daughter got to do with anything? Oh, you didn't know? Riddle's real father was none other than General Viper himself. What? Lord Lynx spared Lady Riddle's life so as not to snuff out that of the frozen flame. It's an uncanny stone, you see, has a life of its own, and some kind of spiritual bond with Lady Riddle. If only there was some way that I could free Milady from this manor. Alas, I alone am powerless to do any such thing. Of course, I would have no qualms if, say, you were to topple the usurper. I assume you intend to? Slay the old beast, I mean? It was a strange inquiry to make so casually. Well, if it comes to it. I was more than a little taken aback by the directness of the Grismel's question. I'd never expected to find one of Lynx's own guards asking me something like that. Suddenly, I was shoved aside. Not if it comes to it. We're gonna kill him tonight. And kill him good. It was Kid, of course. And in exchange, I'll just have some more of that tea to take with us. Kid held out her hand before Grismel could offer an answer. I suppose I have a bag I could share. Grismel shuffled awkwardly in his seat as he retrieved it. As ever, I was impressed at how Kid's uncompromising attitude and willingness to speak her mind seemed to always get her what she wanted. Bonzer, sit tight and leave the rest to us, mate. Stowing the bag in her pocket, Kid took the job. You can trust me. I'm a girl, oh me word. I'm a girl, oh me word. Of my word, or whatever. Why'd she talk like a pirate, bro? Stop. That might have been the biggest lie she's ever told. Right, let's get moving. She made for the door with a spring in her step. We left the room and Grismeld behind. Okay. Go back to the dungeon. Yeah, this is really interesting. It's like the main game is nothing like this, period. This is like a visual novel adventure, choice-based adventure. Not point and click, but choice-based. Oh, okay, okay, go up. Okay, and then which way is the door or the dungeon? We continue straight on toward the cell. Okay. Right, the key we got from that creepy old goblin should do the trick. Kid slipped the key into the lock. The heavy door groaned slightly as it slowly swung open. Clammy air rose up around our feet, as if crawling blindly through the darkness. This didn't seem like the kind of place anyone in their right mind would visit nor voluntarily. We pushed the heavy iron door the rest of the way open and stepped into the darkness. There was a row of cells all locked behind iron bars. 1, 2. Oh, Gulliver, Melgid, Zoranda, forgive me, please. Please, forgive me. Don't know those names. Oh, Gulliver, Melgid, Zoranda, please. We heard a voice from the third cell, whimpering and crying pathetically. I strained my eyes to look inside. Faintly in the darkness, I could see something that looked like a man sitting on the floor, so this was the source of the voice. "Oh, you alright, mate?" Kid called out to the figure. "Forgive me, it's all my fault. It's my fault. The dragoons never deserve this. General, Lady Riddle, oh, forgive me, I beg of you." The old man didn't seem to respond to us at all. He only sat facing the wall, begging forgiveness for who knew what. "Hello, can you hear me?" asked Kid, trying again. "There will be no getting through to him. His real self will have long since retreated inside the shell he has created," said Mago, cutting her off. "Shell? What do you mean?" I asked. "He has built a shell around the core of his psyche in order to shield himself from the truth. He is running from something, something terrible. He has seen something, or been through something, or has done something. And so he has created his own world on the inside as a final refuge, the outside world lost to him forevermore." I looked at Magil in surprise. I had detected a hint of unspoken sadness in his words. And for some reason, he was looking at Kid, watching over her as she stared at the man in the cell. Seeming to not notice my gaze, Magil turned back to face me, assuming his usual emotionless expression once more. We live in a world of sorrow and foolishness. It's only inevitable that some would try to escape it. But despite his hard words, his eyes retained a certain softness, his steely gaze giving way to a gentle light. "Do you understand?" Can you be a bit more specific, dude? "I'm not quite sure I understand what you mean. Could you explain a little more?" I asked him. "Of course. You have seen the wrapped state Kid enters before stealing something, I take it." Oh, I'd seen it, all right. An image of Kid, hands clutched in front of her heart, twirling stars from pupils, floated immediately into my mind. The item in question may not be hers yet, but in her mind, she has already taken possession of it, become possessed by it even. In other words, she has been transported to a place completely outside herself. The man you see before you has been transported to a similar place, albeit a much darker one. It made total sense to me now. I still find it amazing how an example from close to home can explain things so clearly. Mag, you're treading on some very thin ice here. Was he? I mean, he had a point. My musings were cut short by her fist crashing into the side of my head. "Don't you even think about agreeing with him, Serge." I could get on her bad side without even opening my mouth. It was almost impressive. "We're not going to get much out of him. He's miles away. Let's just leave him be and try someplace else." Kid made for the door of the dungeon. "Wait," called Magil. "We must find some way to get this man to speak." "What for? I mean, he's speaking already. Just none of it makes sense. What are you even after?" "Some things he said piqued my curiosity. You mentioned the dragoons, and Riddell, true. So you said the dragoons are ancient history," snapped Kid. "Besides, how can he trust anything he says? He's clearly gone off his rocker." She had a point. The old man had long since cut his ties to the real world. What did McGill expect him to say? Without missing a beat, McGill replied, "You simply have to bring him back to reality." And how are we gonna do that? You want me to do a little dance for him or something? See if that gets his motor going? I'm just gonna stay quiet. I knew if I had said anything, I'd get nothing but the earful of a lifetime in return, so I clamped my hands over my mouth to save myself. What are you playing at, Serge? Kid seemed unimpressed. Phew, that was a close one. I don't think that would work, said Maggle dryly. Kid's fist flew straight towards his face, but Maggle shifted his weight effortlessly, avoiding the attack, and continued. We must break through the shell he has created and drag him back to the real world. And in order to do that, we will need some kind of key, something that will reach him even though the barrier he has erected. Yeah, and where are we going to find this key? Asked Kid suspiciously. I don't know, came Maggle's simple reply. There is someone in this manor who can tell us, Lady Riddle. You don't mean... You're not talking about Riddle, are you? I am, Maggle replied with a nod. Alright, fine. Don't know what the heck you expect her to tell us, though. Kid turned on her heel and made for the door. We left the gibbering old man in the dungeon, alone with his sorrow. Okay, cool. I followed Kid and Maggle back out into the corridor. After making our way down the dark corridor, we came to a branch in the path. The path to the right would take us back to the atrium with the fountain. Yeah, okay. Corridor was dark and clammy. We pressed on, and soon the entrance to the atrium came into view. We arrived back in the atrium. An exit leading to Link's and Riddell's rooms gaped ominously from across the cavernous space. We continued on. Leaving the atrium behind us, we immediately found ourselves at a fork in the path. To the right was a passage with some stairs leading upward. Dark passageway continuing on directly ahead of where we stood. Wait, what? It continue along the path ahead. Rattle. Kid stopped us. There's something there. I listened carefully. Rattle, rattle, rattle. A figure appeared in the darkness on the other side of the corridor. Skeleton! Fight time. We ready ourselves for a fight. What was I? Oh, okay. Attacked. Come on then. I leaped at the skeleton. It lashed out with its sword. Blood dripped from my face. The tip of the blade had scratched my cheek. Deep. I jumped back into a panic. I hope you brought your brown trousers, grumbled Kid. We squared off against the skeleton. It threw the sword it was carrying to the ground and took a step forward. And then it twisted its body into a strange pose. Wait, is it doing what I think it is? It proceeded to contort itself further, adopting a shape that can only be described as highly suggestive. For a moment, no one knew quite how to respond. Oh, he's doing the same thing. What the bloody hell? What should we... Wait, Kid, look at Meg. Yeah, is these skeletons seducing this guy? Like, what's going on here? Magil seems completely bewitched. There was no way he'd be... Okay, this... Attacked. Took advantage of the opening created when it raised its sword and kicked it as hard as I could in its lower spine. There was an almighty crack as the bone snapped and the skeleton fell in two. A split second later, Kid landed a massive blow on the top half. With its skull shattered, the skeleton immediately came to a halt. Huh, guess you can fight after all. We had defeated the skeleton. Kid turned her attention back to Magil. Can't believe this Drogo, though. Thwack, she brought her fist down hard on his head. Maybe that'll wake you up. Now if we're now if we're done here, let's get a bloody move on. What was I? Oh, ow. I was doing great. I felt like nothing could stop me. Maybe he ain't such a drongo after all. Just goes to show any old weirdo can... Yeah, she keeps saying the same thing. Any old weirdo can make something of themselves if they put their mind to it. Same dialogue. So is there like a lot of repetitive dialogue? Is that just like a post-battle dialogue kind of thing? Is that what they're trying to do? We left the atrium and continued on down the path ahead. Eventually we came across an ornate door on the right-hand side. It was Riddell's room, Lynx's daughter. Oh yeah, that's what we're doing. I totally lost my bearings when I came back. We found ourselves in a tidy, welcoming room. I think it's the same dialogue. She should be here, no? Is someone there? Came the voice of a young woman. We shrank into the shadows. Yeah, like just listen to the game's like music and vibe. It's like It's like I'm going through a Resident Evil mansion or something. Is someone there? Came the voice of a young woman. We shrank into the shadows. The woman appeared from deeper within the room. She was lightly made up and had a gentle, unthreatening air about her. It was Lynx's daughter. Strange. I'm sure I heard someone. I was at a loss as what to do for a moment, but before I'd had time to do much more than hold my breath, Kid had already darted over and thrust her knife out, stopping the blade only a hair's breadth from the woman's neck. Where is the frozen flame? Answer me! Her voice came out in a harsh growl. I rushed in to hold Kid back before she hurt the poor woman. Kid, do we really have to do it this way? Shut your trap, Surge. Riddell couldn't help but giggle as she watched us bickering. What are you laughing at? Kid shot Riddell a harsh look. It's just, you don't seem like thieves at all. You want me to cut you, girl? I'd be surprised if that knife could cut anything. For a moment, I felt faint, imagining Riddle on the floor covered in blood. Then, clang, Kid had thrown her knife to the floor, and I saw that it was only a letter opener. Didn't think you noticed. Whatever. I'm not here to mess around killing the likes of you anyway. I have no desire for bloodshed either, said Riddle, in a voice that was almost a whisper. I am not your enemy. In fact, I want to help you. There wasn't a hint of hesitation or deception in her voice. Let me guess, you're trapped in the manor too? Riddle only lowered her eyes sadly in response to Kid's question. The frozen flame should never have been allowed to fall into Lynx's hands. Riddle spoke quietly, but deep emotion clearly underpinned her words. The flame was once the property of an ancient kingdom to the north, who kept it for generations. Oh, is it Guardia? Because if they're south, yeah, I think the Guardia maybe. And then like what? Chrono married Marl, so Chrono was king. I don't know how. Yeah, okay. The flame was once the property of an ancient kingdom to the north, who kept it for generations. It was said to have the uncanny power to guide people and change history itself. After the kingdom fell, the flame changed hands countless times. Oh, until eventually it came into my father's possession. The kingdom fell. It is Guardia, because oh, okay. Oh, I don't think I even seen that cutscene in you know what? Maybe I will do another Chrono Trigger stream. But yeah, there's like I don't know if I got it on stream or not, but there was an anime ending cutscene epilogue thing that showed the fall of Guardia. Actually, hold on. You know what? Sorry. Let me go check. So yeah, the kingdom, after the kingdom fell, the flame changed hands countless times until eventually it came into my father's possession. So the kingdom, definitely Guardia Kingdom, I think. And then it's ancient kingdom to the north, right? And then what would the flame be then? What would the flame be? Like Rainbow Shell or like the, I don't know. I can't, it's not, I'm like, I feel stupid. But anyways, let's continue. That was before I was born. Sometime later, Lynx became aware of the flame's true value and approached my father under false pretenses of friendship. That was before, not a soul suspected what his true intentions were. And then, on that horrible day, he destroyed everything. He killed everything. Riddle shook her head, then buried her face in her hands. I don't care about the frozen flame. I don't care about that stupid accursed stone. It means nothing to me. I just want to take it away from Lynx and smash it to pieces right in front of him. And only we can make that happen. Riddle looked up with surprise as Magil spoke. No one else in the world can seize that jewel from Lynx. Riddle stared speechlessly, and then, in a low voice, she whispered, What can I do to help you? There is a survivor of the Acacia Dragoons in the dungeon who we want to help. And if we're to help him, we need your help, said Magil, taking a step forward. What? That man? That man is a traitor. It's because of him that Zoranda, we saw that name somewhere. Oh, that's the people, the prisoner guy was apologizing because I guess he's, yeah, okay. He seems to feel guilty. They see him as a traitor. What did he do? Please, it's the only way. Riddle turned her back to us and hung her head low. That's her? Dang, she looks like Bro, she looks like straight out of like I don't know what era of gaming this is from, but like Super Nintendo, bro. This is like a Super Nintendo image right here. If they ever tried to do like a visual, this is, it's like, I don't know, it's remind me of like Super Mario RPG. That's like Princess Peach. The Chamber of Death. There might be something to bring him back to his senses there. Oh, the fucking roof closing on us? After all, it was there that he chose to abandon his pride, his life. I assume the Chamber of Death must be the cell with the trap ceiling. Riddle nodded. Yeah, that's going to be a problem, started Kid. That thing damn near killed us the last time. You'll need to take the Einlanzer with you. It is a sacred sword said to have been forged by an ancient sage, and a sister blade to the Crimson Cursed Masamune. Okay. Ancient sage is probably one of the 3 gurus. Melkar. Yeah, it's probably Melkar. The timeless blessings of the Einlanzer will surely keep you safe from the Chamber of Death's wickedness. What? It used to be such a sight to see in the hands of Zoranda. It danced like the wind, shone like the stars, and struck like lightning. Lost again in the memories of fonder times, Riddle once more bowed her head. Forgive me, I have little more to tell you. You've told us more than enough. We'll take our leave now, said McGill, turning and making for the door. I wish I had the strength to change things like you do, whispered Riddle, biting her lip. Kid hesitated for a moment, seemingly deep in thought. It ain't about strength, it's about having a purpose, something to fight for. I'll be praying for you. Kid shot Riddle a look over her shoulder. Great, maybe you can cross your fingers too. We left the room. The passage outside the room continued to our left and right. Going right would take us to Lynx's room. Meanwhile, going left would take us to Asia. Okay. Where do we go? We have to go to the... Where am I supposed to go? We go grab him first, right? Because then we... Wow, okay. Okay, go left to the atrium. Are we supposed to go up the stairs? Where am I going? No. No, we went up. We go back. We're trying to go to the prisoner, right? Have we ever gone right? Oh, okay, no. Continue on our way. Oh, okay. It stopped in her tracks, singing us with a hand behind her back. She drew her knife and stared into the darkness. We heard the clinking of metal from just up ahead. Goblin guards. It wasn't likely there'd be anyone else going for a nighttime stroll around the manor wearing armor. Drew my knife, ready myself. I picked up on the situation pretty quickly and drew my knife, preparing for a fight. Kid gave me a sideways glance. You know something. You're starting to look like a real thief. Now you just need to walk the walk, she grinned. All right, Serge. Magil, let's get him. Kid leapt forward, confident as ever. It was like she thought nothing could go wrong. There were 5 of them in total. They weren't any ordinary goblins, though, having been well looked after in this Platonio manor. Palatial manor? They'd grown to be even bigger than McGill. Each of them was carrying the manor goblin's trademark, a morning star consisting of a rod and a heavy spiked iron ball on a chain. Wait, or is it a flail? I never could remember, and I didn't have time to think much more about it. A goblin came rushing at me, swinging its spikes. Okay. Jump back and evade attack. The iron ball crashed into the stone tile I was standing on only moments before crushing it. Had I tried to stop it with my knife, I would have been lucky to escape with a fractured skull. I stabbed the goblin through the back of its weapon hand. Having missed me, the goblin lost its balance. I plunged my knife to the back of its weapon hand. The goblin's face contorted with pain as it dropped its morning star. I knew that going for its hand would be more effective than trying to land a good hit on its fleshy, porcine body. I moved to the goblin's front and plunged my knife into its heart. Oh, wait. Stabbing him in the heart, bro. My knife sank to the hilt in the creature's chest. I thought it was all over, but just then, something hit me hard in the stomach, sending me flying. The goblin leered at me as it drew up to its full height. My knife was still buried deep in its chest, and thick drops of blood fell to the floor. How could it have survived, much less still be standing? A sense of terror came over me, and then the goblin took a step forward. Suddenly, its giant frame wobbled. It fell to one knee, and then sank to the floor. Exhausted, I panted for breath. Finally, got a notch in your belt, eh? Taunted Kid, coming to my side. I wanted to say something, but I was too exhausted. Whew, I'd taken a few knocks, but I was alright. A scrape or two wouldn't stop me. Maybe he ain't such a drongo after all. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, this is like a post-battle dialogue right now. It's like the same exact stuff. Even when they're going from place to place, it's a lot of the same stuff. Yeah, wait. Why are we here? Bro, we went the wrong way, but whatever. We're gonna go in here just for shits and giggles and see if there's anything interesting. Serge had some weird link with this statue, bro. I looked to the corner of the room, to the place where she had once stood. I could put a gentle hand on my shoulder. Serge gave a silent nod, and we turned and left her to her eternal rest. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess we're done. That I don't really know why it's like that. It's like trying to be like Serge had like a weird thing going on with the statue. So yeah, we need to find a way to the thing. Continued. I'm gonna pull up that map. Oh, it's past the atrium. Okay, see now that is. All right, okay. The atrium, go past the atrium. Okay, cool. I don't want to be interrupted. Just let me go where I need to go. Dungeon. Yeah, okay. And then we take him to that spike ceiling. We pushed the heavy iron door the rest of the way open and stepped into the darkness. There was a row of cells, all locked behind iron bars. 1, 2, 3. The old man's plight preyed on my mind. Couldn't he see how senseless it was to punish himself like that? Come on, let's make it quick. He won't want us hanging around for long. And I, for one, don't want to stay any longer than I have to. I followed Kid and Maggie back out to the corridor. Oh, we have to go to the torture chamber then, okay. Okay, so we're just gonna backtrack all the way. This would be something I'd probably want to speed up. Eh, it's whatever. No, we go to the atrium. And then, yeah, we have to take that sword to the tortured place. I thought we had to get him first, but it's all good. Go up the stairs. Yeah, hopefully no one. I don't know. I don't understand if the goblins appearing is like random encounter type of vibe, or is it scripted stuff as I make my way from one place to another after achieving some sort of story objective. Where am I going? Oh, the map just called the map I'm looking at called it ballroom, but it's just main hall in this. So yeah, that's referring to the ballroom place. Okay, we're going to the terrace, and then no, you keep going. Continue. Doon, doon, doon. Continue on. There you go. Let's get in the lead. We headed upstairs. It was dark and the stairwell was narrow. We watched our footing carefully as we climbed. An old, sturdy-looking door loomed in the darkness at the top. We went inside. Look, I don't care what we might find in there, even if it could lead us straight to the frozen flame. I ain't going in until we find a way to deal with that trap. McGill, meanwhile, was lost in thought. Riddell mentioned an ancient blade, the Iron Lancer. Without it, I doubt we'll find a way to progress. Well, if that means we're taking our search somewhere else, I'd be happy to apply. Oh, I don't have the sword? Where did I see a sword? This is the okay, go in here. Oh, it won't let me go in. Okay. Would it be in the guard room? This is the clock tower, right? Wait, where am I? Sorry, I'm like kind of lost. There it is. Oh, okay, cool. I got lucky. There it is. Our ticket to not getting turned into mincemeat. The ancient sword was right where Kid had left it after pulling it out from the pile of junk. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. See, oh, that was hard. I would have never remembered that. But that's, okay, cool. Yeah, because basically, I'm like, there was a sword somewhere around along the way. I can't remember. And like, yeah, she pulled it out the pile and there was like a bunch of comments about it. She was like whether she can sell it or I don't remember who was saying what, but yeah. Anyways, each sword was right where yeah. She ran over to where it lay. Looking down at the sword, McGill muttered, "Two ancient blades, the sacred Einlanzer and the cursed Moon. What are you on about, Mag? You know something about this Master Moon? If McGill is Guile and Guile is Magus, then yes, he does know about the Massive Moon." McGill said nothing. Well, it seems to mean something to you. It does. Something to do with old friends I don't know about? Not exactly. An enemy then? Not exactly. You're being weird, Mag. Well, whatever. Oi, numbnuts. Numbnuts, grab this thing for me, will you? I was still standing by the doorway when Kid called over me. Who, me? Yeah, you, or were you gonna make me lug the bloody thing around the place? I'm just a scrawny little girl, ain't I? Call yourself a gentleman? A scrawny little? In whose dark dreams was Kid only a scrawny little girl, I wondered. Suddenly, my thoughts were interrupted by a spinning kick to the chops. Yeah, my body flipped over in the air as sparks flew behind my eyes. What the hell's that for? Kid only humphed and looked away. McGill also turned away. I was thoroughly left out in the cold. Pick up the damn sword, Serge. We ain't got all night. You gods, she was a nightmare. Sometimes I wondered why you even bothered coming along on these little jaunts. Dazed, I stumbled to my feet and sheepishly picked up the sword. But what were we even supposed to do with this tarnished old relic? Whoa, I nearly fell over. That thing was heavy. Good boy, right? Off to the chamber of death. Eyes on the prize, lads. Dragging the sword behind me with one hand and clutching my throbbing head with the other, I followed Kid out of the room toward a place where it sounded like certain doom awaited. That sword should be in the game. That name rings a bell. Leading the group as usual, Kid suddenly stopped. What's that? She jabbed her finger at something in the darkness. Straining my eyes, I could see a pale white bundle of something shaking in the shadows. Huh? That's strange. I moved in front of Kid to try to get a better look. And then suddenly, yeah, it's like a... I've seen that dialogue before. This is like typical battle dialogue. Tackle. Catch it. Slam it to the floor. Yeah, see, it's like a random encounter. Wait a second, what's that? There was a leather bag on the ground containing some recently cooked meat. Lucky me, I bit into the meat without a moment's hesitation. After devouring the unexpected windfall, I felt a little better. Oi, where's my share? Busted. I pretended not to hear. I was doing great. I felt like nothing could stop me. Maybe he ain't such a jungle after all. Blah, blah, blah. She says it all. This dialogue we've seen. Any old weirdo can make something of themselves if they put their mind to it. Kids, yeah, same exact ending. That initial dialogue was different, though, because I found something, but this is still post-battle dialogue, it seems. The door led back to the corridor, which stretched off to the left and right where it leads to the depth of the manor while waiting. Where? Right down the corridor. Continued on. Is this the room? Yeah, okay, cool. Well, this place is just as creepy as I remember. Lovely, grumbled Kid. She was looking at the stains on the wall. The ceiling had been pulled back up, but that was no reason to believe it might not come grinding down again at any moment. Bearing in mind what Riddle had told us the room was called, it definitely wasn't somewhere we wanted to linger. Quickly, hissed McGill, before crouching down and examining the ground for clues. Kid and I crouched down too. What were you even looking for, though? What could the old man have left in this room that would help us bring him back to reality? The flagstones of the floor were smeared with a black gooey substance which gave off an odd rotten aroma. I shook my head, trying to drive an uncomfortable thought from my mind. Kid saw me and clearly wasn't doing much better herself. She slowly turned, positioning herself so that she was facing away from the stains on the wall. There was no point in thinking like that. I just had to try. But then, the door slammed shut and the gears ground into life. Here we bloody go again. We have to stop it. If we don't deal with the trap, we'll never find what we're looking for. Also attack the trap. The ceiling sank lower and lower. We ducked our heads, desperately trying to avoid the blades jutted from the bottom. Kid looked to me and screamed, "The sword! Use the Iron Lancer!" What? How do you use a sword? I plunged the sword into the ceiling. Alright, let's see if this legendary sword could smash through the ceiling. I jabbed the Iron Lancer upward with all my might. A clang! It pinged hard off the countless blades flashing down from above, throwing me to the floor. Ow! My hands numb from the shock. I haltingly regained my grip on the hilt and forced myself back on my feet, in the ground. You can plunge it into Kid? What kind of option is that? There! I drove. That's fucked up. That's actually fucked up. Wait till we actually play the game and remember why it is what I said. There, I drove the sword into the floor with all my might. A shock ran through the room. Beams of light scattered from the blade, covering the floor and walls, and then racing upward. The ceilings gave an almighty judder and then stopped. Yeah, it's like the beginning of Chrono Cross, like pretty different from Chrono Trigger actually. It starts off a bit like with a bang. So yeah, we'll look forward to that. Yeah, we made it. I sank to the floor helplessly, my heart racing. Hey, what's that? Kid was pointing at part of the wall. It was where we'd seen the message written in blood. Guess we found what we were looking for. Part of the wall had collapsed, revealing a cavity behind what had looked like a piece of solid stone. Inside, I could see something glinting faintly in the darkness. Kid reached in with her fingertips, carefully extracting whatever it was from within. It was a slender ring with a delicately engraved design that looked like overlapping ferns. The ring was adorned with several small rubies in a pattern that resembled a bunch of grapes. The crest of acacia. This must be an acacian signet. Kid put the ring on her middle finger where it sat uneasy. It didn't seem to be her size. The rubies gave off an eerie glint. Right, let's not spend any more time in here than we have to. We managed to foil the trap and retrieve the Acacian signet. I left the Iron Lancer where it stood and we exited the room. Then now we go back to the old man. With Kid in the lead, we headed downstairs. Okay. Just making our way back now. Atrium. Okay, cool. Having retrieved the Acacian signet, we returned to the old man's cell. As soon as we got there, McGill took a step forward and grabbed onto the bars. They creaked and groaned as he heaved at them, gritting his teeth as he summoned every ounce of his might. Slowly, they bowed apart. He stepped into the cell through the gap, and Kid and I followed. The old man was exactly as we had left him, staring into space and muttering meaningless words. Kid walked over to him and crouched down. She grabbed him by the collar and yelled at him, "Wakey, wakey, Granddad! We've got a few questions for you. Here, get an eyeful of this. Ring any bells, huh?" Kid waved the Acacian signet in his face, shaking him roughly all the while. The old man's kid's fucking character, bro. The old man said, lulled as he limply allowed himself to be manhounded. I stepped between them and tried to stop her. I tried to get between Kid and the old man. She glared at me. "You're in the way, Serge. We're here for answers, remember? But if you really want to help him, you can't chicken out now. But look at him. There's no helping him anymore, surely. This all ended for him long ago." I would not be so certain. This is not over. It still means something. He has simply decided to pretend not to see it. Yeah, but it's not over. It's not over, you say? Struck by this man's sudden interruption, we all turned to look at him. A faint glimmer of light had returned to his once vacant eyes. That right. Wait, what? That's right. None of this is over until we make Lynx pay. His eyes began to cloud once more. So my former allies have finally come for me. I am to blame. It is because of my indiscretion that the frozen flame was stolen, and that all of the Acacian dragoons, only I remain here in the manor. But now all is well, for you have returned. Oh, Melgid, Zoranda, where have you been all this time? Did you all return to Lake Stoic? He's like lost it. Never mind that. Never mind all that, Granddad. Where's the frozen flame? Give us a clue. Anything. Come on, out with it. I couldn't decide if Kid sounded more annoyed or more desperate. The frozen flame? The old man looked momentarily confused, and then a wan smile crossed his face. My word, Lady Riddle, it's been far too long since I last had the pleasure. Why, you need only turn the third candlestick from the left as you enter the main hall. That will open the underground vault, as you know. Third candlestick from the left. Okay. Kid wrapped her arms around the old man and held him tight. And then, in a trembling voice, she whispered, "I'm sorry. I promise we'll get it back." Ah! Ah! The man recoiled in horror and then began to sob once more. "I am to blame. It's all my fault. Forgive me, forgive me. Look, if you want to get out of here, now's your chance." But it was no use. He was too busy cowering and wailing to hear me. "We're done here, Serge. We can't help him, and there's things we need to be doing." "Thank you," I whispered to the old man, before following Kid and Magiel out of the dungeon. After you're making your way, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, where are we going now? Oh, okay, so we go to the atrium. Oh, fight. The wall began moving. A rectangular section opened up and swung around, revealing two enormous goblins killing it. Oh, we saw this dialogue too. This is like a It seems like the fights have like the same flavor text at the beginning. Yeah, okay, we'll beat them up too. Yeah, it's the same thing. Got stabbed in the left eye. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Same dialogue. Jump back. Oh, that's a different option this time. Yeah, I skipped ahead. It's all illusion of choice. And then is it the post-battle text right now? Maybe you ain't such a jungle, blah blah blah. There you go. There you go. See? I'm figuring it all out. Kid's eyes glinted with mischief. This thing's gonna come alive, bro. I'm not trying to like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm saying it ahead of time too. Like, come on, bro. This happens to me in horror games all the time. So I said it's like horror vibe. Turning on. Okay, go up the stairs. Yeah, the main hall. Okay, third on the left. Whatever. Dozens of candles provided a dim flickering light, sending the corners of the room dancing in and out of shadow. The great hall was filled with a heavy silence, a silence unbroken save for the ticking of a large clock that slowly counted the passage of time, as if waiting for something. Several portraits glared down at us with cold eyes. We moved through the feeble glow of the candles. Third candlestick from the left, whispered Kid. 1, 2, 3. There. She reached out towards it. I held my breath as I watched. Say your prayers, Lynx. We're coming for you. Kid turned the candlestick. The room trembled with sudden rhythmic rumbling sound, as if a massive gear was turning. What's that? For a moment I felt a strange sensation, as if I was floating. Do you feel that? I started to stagger. The entire room seems to be moving downwards, came the reply from McGill. I couldn't quite believe it, but I also couldn't deny the feeling of downward motion. Oh, I think this is in the Viper Manor. The main hall was sinking into the earth. And then another rumble. The room's descent rapidly accelerated. A cold sweat dripped from my back. My heart filled with a mixture of fear and anticipation. What was I waiting for us down there? Frozen flame, our prize at the end of this little adventure. But what was it really? Would it live up to our expectations? This does really work as like a nice precursor to Chrono Cross, because it's like all this intrigue and mystery built around the Frozen Flame and Lynx and their world and characters. And then if you know Chrono Trigger lore, you'll catch on to the Masamune, the Northern Kingdom following whatever. Put two and two together. I tightened my fists, which were slick with the sweat. What were Kid and Magil thinking? The room remained veiled in silence. As if in response to my thoughts, a quiet voice came from next to me. It was Kid. I looked over to see her standing stiffly, staring forward with her hands clenched into fists. Sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in a losing battle, a fight I'll never win, no matter what I do. It was a side of her I'd never witnessed before. Even from this angle, I could see fear and doubt flickering across her face. I felt a tender sting in my heart. We'll win, I promise. There's nothing to worry about. You'll We'll win in the end, I promise. Drongo. She gave a gentle smile. Can't promise anything in this world, Serge. There are no guarantees. But thanks, anyways. She grinned again, seeming a little embarrassed, then looked me straight in the eye. And then I had the strangest sensation. This wasn't Kid. Or, not the only kid, anyway. Huh? I was overwhelmed by the inexplicable oddness of the idea. Huh? Okay. She noticed immediately, of course, and our little moment was over. The kid I knew was back in the room. Trying to catch flies, mate? Sorry. It's just that for a moment there, it felt like you were someone else. What are you on about? Kid gave me a confused look, tilting her head. It must be because we were drawing near to the frozen flame. McGill's voice, as soft as ever, slipped unbidden from the shadows. Eh? What the heck are you two on about? Kid turned towards him with another puzzled frown. There's another self within you, struggling against the pull of the abyss. But what had she been talking about? A crash split the silence, as if we'd collided with something. A loud metallic scraping filled the air. The room rocked and finally came to an halt. Looks like the end of a line. All change. Oh. The swelling grandeur of the organ suddenly filled the air. No one had so much as touched it, and yet the keys and the pedals were moving by themselves. The melody it played was both unsettling and sad. Funeral tune, is it? Way to greet your guests. Kid took a long stride forward, then turned to face me and McGill. Come on, let's go. McGill and I gently nodded our assent. Kid grinned, then turned back to the door. I'm coming for you, Lynx. This is the end for you. And with that, she led us from the hall. We continued down a long, dark corridor, the walls slick with condensation. The air was thick and heavy, as though ripe with the stench of death. Were we really getting close to Lynx's hidden vault at last? And was there any turning back now, for any of us? There was something strange about Kid that night. McGill didn't seem to be his usual self either. To begin with, it was vanishingly rare for him to speak so much, let alone to show any kind of emotion. What happened to make them change like that? Unable to take the silence anymore, I decided to speak. I had to ask the question that had been on my mind all this time. Why do you want the frozen flame so badly? Hey, Kid, why do you want the frozen flame so badly? All I got in reply was this cold echo of her footfalls. I should have known. She didn't like to talk about her reasons for doing things. After all, it was a topic that was likely to lead to discussion of her past. But then she spoke, though it was almost a whisper. I'm doing it for Sis. Before she died, she told me to find the frozen flame and bury it. Bury it where? Her old mate's grave. Okay. Kid looked at her feet as she walked. She wasn't me real sister, but she was as good as family to me. When she took me in, I was bloody helpless, couldn't remember a thing, and I was barely old enough to survive on my own. She didn't go into too much detail about who her mate was. Best I can remember is that I needed to find a grave of a girl who married another mate of hers and died not long after. The character's identities. Yeah, okay, she's talking about Luca, Marl, and Chrono. So whose grave? Chrono's grave? Who her mate was. Best I can remember is that I needed to find the grave of a girl who married another mate of hers and died not long after. Oh, so it's Marl's. Oh, that kind of... Wait, hold on. I don't know whose grave she's supposed to put in, but Marl or Chrono. Probably Chrono. Or maybe... I don't know. She said that's where the frozen flame should be laid to rest, or something like that. To be honest, I wasn't paying much attention at the time. It's not like I could have known what was about to happen. When she disappeared and I realized she wasn't coming back, though, I swore I'd make good on what she asked me to do. I'm pretty sure that's what... Like, you know what I mean? Like, the dialogue it sprinkles in stuff that, like, if you know Chrono Trigger lore and then you're playing, because basically you should play Chrono Trigger, then this thing, and then Chrono Cross. And Chrono Cross is like basically like there's a lot of mystery and intrigue and like a lot of build up throughout Chrono Cross as to like what the hell's going on. So yeah, and this is not even, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is like absolutely nothing. This is stuff I don't even, this dialogue I'm seeing right now, this is my first time playing through this visual novel thing, right? I didn't even know Surge and Kid and some McGill person where it was like, you know, this must be like some alternate dimension, like non-canon type of thing, but it's also like probably still utilized to give real lore for the real canon shit, if you know what I'm saying. Because like what she's saying right now is like she's just and the description is like it's her friends and someone a mate of hers and someone who married a mate of hers, and there's 2 people we know that married, and it'll be like the 3 friends, and we're already thinking along the lines of the fall of Guardia, whatever, you know. So it's like, yeah, it's most likely talking about Chrono, Marl, and then Luca. Pretty interesting. And then she's calling her sis, so it's like, okay. Not blood, but like, you know what I mean? Let's just okay, anyways. To be honest, I wasn't paying much attention at the time. It's not like I could have known what was about to happen when she disappeared and I realized she wasn't coming back, though. I swore I'd make good on what she asked me to do. I'd nab the frozen flame from that rat bastard Lynx and get my revenge. Kid's eyes almost seemed to glow with the heat in the cold night air. I'll make him pay for everything he's done, no matter what it takes, even if it kills me. And then she fell silent. Sorry, Kid. I didn't mean to bring up something so painful. There was a pause before she replied. Nah, you're alright. I should have said something sooner before I roped you into this. Sorry. Silence reigned supreme as I fumbled around to try and find something to say in reply. But all that filled the darkness of the corridor was the sound of my yet more footsteps. Suddenly, McGill stopped in his tracks. Wait. How come I can't save? It's not letting me pull up my menu anymore. Am I already in an ending or something? Wait, huh? Kid turned around, puzzled. Just then, a powerful light surged across the floor, and a ring-shaped sigil appeared. Damn it, a blood circle. Kid and McGill were at least quick enough to try and jump and clear, but they weren't quite quick enough. The 3 of us were trapped in a circle of binding light. Oh, okay. Ooh. Yeah, who the hell is Surge? Surge is the one on the left. That's not even how he looks, though. Like, not even close. No one looks like how they're supposed to look, actually. So that's what I mean. This is like a weird thing. The one on the right would be McGill. The one at the bottom would be Kid. The one on the left would be Surge. But Surge doesn't look like that at all, and Kid kind of looks similar, but different too. And then, yes, and this guy looks more like a Magus than Guile does. McGill, I don't know. The sigil rotated left and right with us at the center, cutting off all routes of escape. Yeah, we're trapped. A wall of heat and wind blew up around us, and swirling lines and spirals of light assailed us wherever we turned. Okay. Don't let the light mesmerize you. Cover your eyes, shouted McGill, raising a hand over his mask. Turn with the light, not against it. There has to be a way out. What? I barely even understand what's going on. Kid's elbow brushed against the wall of light surrounding us, sending sparks flying. Ugh. Be careful. Merely to touch it is more than enough to harm you. Stay well back. Oh, it's a battle. Okay. I slowly turn my body to follow the movements of the ring of light, looking for a gap to escape through. Oh, this is the trap. Right 3 times. 3 steps to the right. There, I see it. That's our way through. I found a gap in the wall of light and carefully walked through it. Kid, McGill, this way. We managed to get through the barrier unscathed. This is interesting. But we weren't out of the woods yet. There was still another wall of light swirling with a great wind in front of us. I slowly turned my body to follow the movements of the ring of light, looking for a gap to escape through. I turned left twice. 2 steps to the left. There, I see it. That's our way through. I found a gap in the wall of light and carefully walked through. Kid, McGill, this way. We managed to get through the barrier unscathed, but we weren't out of the woods yet. There was still another wall of light swirling with a great wind in front of us. Okay. Turned right twice. 2 steps to the right. Suddenly, my body felt light, and I staggered 2 or 3 steps forward. We were back in the deserted passageway we'd been walking down before the blood circle had appeared. The sigil had vanished from the floor, and everything was silent, as if nothing had been amiss. Ever been amiss. And then I looked up. This is it? Over here? Looks like we finally made it, boys. Kid strolled up to the door with a wicked grin on her face. The true frozen flame awaits. McGill's eyes gave a glint from behind his mask, like glass catching moonlight in the darkness of the night. Let's go. Kid reached out for the handle. So this is the place, huh? Kid narrowed her eyes, straining to see our surroundings in the darkness. Oh. A vast, pitch-black expanse surrounded us, whichever way we looked. It was as if we'd entered an impossibly vast cave. We were in a place forgotten by time, unknown to the world, hidden deep within the bowels of the night. Of night. A gentle crimson light hovered in the darkness. The frozen flame! Right, now it's ours. The light of the flame ebbed and waned gently, as if responding to Kid's voice. What the heck is this place? There's mountains of bloody rubble everywhere. McGill took a step further into the room and said in a whisper that was almost a groan, "No, it can't be." Ah, but it is. The ruins of the lost kingdom of mages. Yeah, McGill reacting like that, and it's the lost kingdom of mages, so that's the antiquity era. So this guy's Magus, bro. Telling you. Surge, I don't know what's going on with Surge and Kid there. Surge doesn't even look like Surge, like at all. But McGill, this guy's Magus, bro. He's even feeling it, like you know, like his reactions and stuff. It seems to hint and indicate and imply. But anyways. Ah, but it is. The ruins of the lost kingdom of mages. The voice drifted down through the darkness from above. Kid looked up in shock. Lynx! I'll kick your flea-bitten arse so hard you'll kiss the moon. Kid pulled her knife from her belt and threw it as hard as she could. It fell to the floor with a clang, as if knocked out of the air by some unseen hand. Still, the same impetuous child as ever, I see. That's no way to greet an old friend. Smarmy bastard. Kid gritted her teeth with rage. And you, Shadow Dweller, I'll have none of your tricks this time. This time, okay. You must think me a fool if you believe I'll fall for that again. McGill, who had been quietly slipping into the darkness that surrounded us, stopped dead in his tracks. Don't kill me. So this was the infamous Lynx. Let's see how he looks. Yeah, see, that's not how Lynx looks. We pulled up the pictures not too long ago when I was looking at the graphical improvements. But yeah, Lynx is like a cat, man. This is like some... Is that a mustache? Yeah, he's like some old dude. The lord of this deadly manor. The man who had murdered the closest thing Kid had to family. Who had assassinated General Viper and eradicated the Order of the Acacia Dragoons. A pleasure as always, my dear Kid. And I must say, you followed the trail of breadcrumbs I laid for you admirably closely, my greedy little sneaky thief. What the bloody? She stepped forward, bristling. Lynx narrowed his eyes as his lips twisted into a snarl. You know what I want, Kid. Give me the stone you carry. The stone? Did Kid have some kind of jewel I didn't know about? Don't know what you're on about, mate. She just about managed to recover her composure, narrowing her eyes scornfully at her old foe. Spare me the act, child. I know that you have it. I know she gave it to you. And if he's referring to, Oh, is it the pendant? That's like, you know? Yeah, it's maybe. Maybe. Hand over the... Oh, time egg. Okay, jeez. Okay, we know about the time egg, though. Right? Hand over the time egg. Now. The what? Whatever it was, I'd never heard of it. Once again, this might not even be like lore accurate. I don't even understand what's going on right now. You're dreaming if you think I'll give it to the likes of you, kid. Shot back. It's all I have left of her. I'll never let go of it. Not for anyone, and definitely not for you. I'll tell you what's gonna happen, you bastard. First, I'm gonna take the frozen flame, and then I'm gonna ram it down your throat. Incorrigible young fool. I was hoping this might be a civilized exchange. Alas, it seems my words will only fall on deaf ears, and you are determined to repeat your past errors. Lynx moved his hand to the grip of the ornate golden saber that hung from his belt. Last time I showed you mercy and let you leave with your life. That was a mistake, one which I mean to correct. Surge, McGill, stay back. Oh, it's Kid. Fucking. Kid took a step forward, glaring at Lynx, her gaze unflinching. This ends here now. You'll pay for what you've done. You'll pay for what you did to Luca. There, see, there you go. You'll pay for what you did to Luca. So here's, okay, time egg. There's chrono trigger. There's the frozen flame. There's like that pendant. There's like the sunstone. There's the rainbow shell. This is the thing that we combine them. That's probably like, you know, it's some of these things got to be the same thing or referring to like something. There's the something like that. But yeah, anyways, and that's supposed to be a reveal for Chrono Trigger people. With a scream, Kid leapt into the air like a bird taking flight. Her foot lashed out in a scything kick aimed right at the side of Lynx's head, his head top. But there was no contact. Where Lynx had been mere moments before, now there was only empty space. Kid landed and immediately launched herself back into the air, putting the full force of her momentum into another kick. This time, Lynx leaned back, letting Kid's foot swing past only a hair's breadth from his nose. And then it was Lynx's turn. He lashed out with his saber, carving an arc through the air in front of him. Kid was ready for him, however, and had already jumped back to a safe distance. The two glared at each other from mere footsteps apart. At least he had the decency to prepare a little better than last time, Lynx purred. Like the cat he is. A red line appeared on Kid's cheek, slowly coalescing into a drop of blood. Kid! In a flash, she launched herself into yet another attack. Lynx dodged to the side, and then made to strike her with the hilt of his saber. Kid moved awkwardly to avoid the attack, losing her footing, and then Lynx was on her like a bird of prey before she could fully recover. There was a gasp and a cough as Lynx drove his knee into the pit of her stomach. Kid collapsed. A steady stream of red dribbled from her lips. Will that be all, girl? Lynx gave Kid a merciless kick to the side, sending her flying. She landed on a pile of rubble, her body rolling until she hit a large stone pillar, and there she lay, lifelessly still. Kid? Kid! I screamed her name as I charged towards Lynx. But McGill was there already. He flew through the darkness, a part of the shadows, before crashing down on Lynx like a bolt from the blue. Lynx jumped back, and countless threads of light flew from his fingertips towards McGill. With a droning hum, the threads of light surrounded McGill, crossing over one another. They spread to form a lattice of light that gave off a blinding glare and trapped McGill where he stood. What is this? McGill staggered and groaned, attempting to shield his eyes with his hands. It is a simple enough spell, my shadowy friend, for those inclined to learn it, and one which, sadly for you, leaves no darkness in which to hide. Lynx leered at McGill with a venomous grin. You've been quite the thorn in my side. I'll let you live long enough to regret it. McGill struggled and groaned. I had to do something. Kid and McGill needed me. But what was I going to do? I challenged Lynx. I charged at Lynx. I screamed as I rushed towards Kid's nemesis, and then, in one fluid motion, he spun around to face me, lashing out with his saber. I tried my best to dodge the blow, but the blade sliced into my body. Ah! I collapsed in a heap and rolled down onto the rubble. You aren't the first arrogant little street rat I've cut down, and you won't be the last. His claw-like fingers clamped around my throat. I couldn't breathe. Tightening his grip, Lynx lifted me bodily until my feet were dangling in the air. I could feel his talons mercilessly digging deeper and deeper into my neck. Panic filled my mind. Look, Kid, see your friend, see him suffer. This is your doing. This is your hand around his neck. Kid's breathing was ragged, and blood still dripped from her lips. Opening an eye, she groggily raised her head. But she couldn't get up. She didn't have the strength. Surge! Give me the time egg. Do you even know what it is? I suspect not. Think of it as a concentrated pocket of space. With the frozen flame and the time egg in hand, one can bend the fabric of space and time. Oh, frozen flame's probably space and time egg is time. And rewrite the past. There are errors that I mean to correct. Mistakes in the past that must be set right. Link's narrow, emotionless eyes return to my face. How long before he perishes, I wonder? I struggled to breathe, but could only make choking sounds. Kids scream my name. Decide. Will you watch the boy die or relent? Does this life mean nothing to you? I can't. She balled her hands into fists and dropped her gaze. My vision started to fade. Pretty cool. And then I heard her voice as she struggled to speak through the pain. I'm sorry, Surge, but I swore I'd sacrifice anything to stop Lynx. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. It was all I could do to force the words out past Lynx's icy grip. I was starting to black out. Was this really how it was going to end? For crying out loud. Fine, you win. Here, have your damn rock. Lynx's grip on my throat loosened. Okay. Groaning with pain, Kid reached a shaky hand into her shirt. I can't go to the menu. I'm trying to save, dog. We're like in an ending, I think, or something. Groaning with pain, Kid reached a shaky hand into her shirt. I knew you'd come around in the end. Lynx threw my body to the ground, then walked over toward her. Just shut up and take it, you bastard. It's all you deserve. With all the strength she could muster, Kid lashed out at Lynx with her right hand. Gah! He leapt back in a desperate attempt to evade the blow. But it was too late. Kid's nails, sharp as a cat's claws, raked mercilessly into his face. Lynx roared with pain. He staggered, clutching to his left eye. Blood oozed through the gaps in his fingers. You wretched little chit of a girl. Lynx stood awkwardly, still clutching at the wound on his face. The fingers of his free hand arched into furious talons as he walked back towards Kid, who still lay on the ground. I will kill you all. He kicked her hard, concentrating all his wrath and venom into the blow. Kid gasped as all the wind was knocked out of her, yet more blood ran from her mouth as her body rolled across the floor. Kid, I yelled hoarsely, clutching my burning throat with one hand. Lynx turned his head slowly to look at me, one eye fixing on me coldly as it came into view. He took a step toward me. Yes, perhaps it would be better to start with you, my dear Kid. Rest assured that your friend's death will be a most elaborate and painful one. You will truly know what it means to suffer, boy. I will put you through the same suffering as I did, that Luca woman. Kid's body stirred with shock and horror. Her eyes slowly opened, fixing on Lynx. They were wild eyes, stained with blood that poured from her brow. Gritting her teeth, she staggered to her feet. Lynx! Lynx! And then an explosion of light burst forth from the frozen flame. Another light began to form from somewhere near Kid's chest, resonating with the light from the frozen flame. The twin lights entwined, twirling slowly up. That seems like it is dependent, right? Or no? Twirling slowly upward. And as it rose, the golden spiral spread. No, this can't be. Lynx stood motionless, transfixed by the spectacle. Was this the time egg's power? Kid screamed as a raging blaze of light engulfed her. I'll never let you do it again. I'll never let you steal from me again. Bathed in the glow, her body shook. Blood-red tears dripped from her eyes as they took on a distant look. And then she collapsed to the ground as if all the life had gone out of her. I heard a voice. It was quiet and still, like the evening. It has come to pass. Kid is retracing her lost memories back through time, back to the Lost Kingdom. To the Lost Kingdom? Oh. It was through her power. It was through her power that the kingdom fell. That it was swallowed in the all-encompassing vortex of time. So the Lost Kingdom Antiquity Age was swallowed in all... Okay, well, if you can read between the lines. In her grief, she wished to disappear. Her past, her future. She wanted it all to sink into the void. To be lost in the seething whirl of time. Sounds like a character we know. She despised what she had done. She closed herself off from all that she saw and heard, and cursed her very existence. But the stone wished for her to live. The hands of her clock were rewound, her memories unraveled. The stone gave her a chance to begin again. The stone had both the power and the will to bring all this about. Sinking through the sea of time, she drifted here, a mere babe, her memories a blank slate. The time egg shattered, its fragments raining down on the world, becoming shards of sorrow and anguish. The world around us drifted into pieces. It swallowed us, engulfed us. We were consumed, locked into the void. And then, a girl's scream echoed in the darkness. That voice. Was that Kid? It sounded just like... No, this is all wrong. The black vortex. It surrounds us. No, stop. What is going on? Where am I? I've lost everything. Oh, it's a dinosaur. We're in like some end of time type of thing. Where am I? I've lost everything, and now I can but wander. The world drifts, and time is a blur. There is only an endless, unknowable sea. This is where time begins and ends. This is where all life finds peace. I see myself as a baby, crying next to my mother, an exhausted yet proud look upon her face. I see myself aged and wizened, waiting to succumb to death's embrace with a smile. Dang. I see countless incarnations of myself, walking time's intricate corridors as ghosts. This is a place where countless worlds overlap and infinite dreams play out. If only I could rest here for eternity. If only I could free myself of all my burdens and sleep here in the sea of dreams. But I hear it calling me. I hear the song. Oh, I know the song. Same thing. Kid, please. Can you hear me? Kid, say something. Kid, you've got to stay with me. Who's that? Who's calling me? Surge? Where am I? Kid, you're awake. I heard a song. It was beautiful. It was that song that Luca loved. Kid closed her eyes and her face glowed with a warm smile. I'll never forget that song. Makes me want to cry whenever I hear it. I'm just glad you're back. It felt like I was losing you, like you're going somewhere far, far away. Before I knew it, I was humming the song for you. I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but I wrote it when I first started out as a musician. Wait, what? I knew you liked it, so I... Kid gave a gentle nod. It was you. You were the one who called me back. That was you calling me name. Thanks, Serge. It's okay. It's okay now. Wait, I'm kind of... What? He wrote the song? I'm back. Suddenly, she gasped with pain. Link's saber had plunged deep into her right shoulder. And towering over us was Lynx himself. Told you, kid. I told you I will kill you. She had no strength left to fight. What was I going to do? Tried to protect Kid. I threw myself over Kid's inert form. I had to protect her. Ah, you rushed needlessly to your grave, boy. Lynx glared coldly at me with his remaining eye. Alas, your time has come. He raised his saber high, preparing me to strike. Enough. Stunned, we looked toward the intruder. You. There stood an old crone, her wizened features obscured by a heavy hood. How had she made it all the way down here? Lady Vera. And what have we done to bring Poor's Magister General running? I wonder. He growled. Oh, it's the lady from the old lady from the clock tower? She's Poor's Magister General? It's been far too long, Lord Lynx. A pity that I seem not to have caught you at your best. The crone met Lynx's mad stare head on. I will take the frozen flame. After all, it seems you two have been quite unable to decide which of you should have it. She raised a hand, and armed soldiers poured into the room. McGill lifted Kid to her feet. This seems like a good time to leave. Lynx snarled. You'll regret this switch. He kicked off from the floor, and his body rose into the air. Then he turned his venomous glare on us. And you, Kid, you'll pay for this with your life soon enough. You will never be safe from me. With that, he disappeared like a puff of smoke. The crone lingered for a moment, her eyes resting on us. Kid, if you wish to try and steal the frozen flame again, you're welcome to try anytime you please. We'll be waiting. But you'll have to get out of here alive first. The soldiers drew their weapons and fell upon us. Darkness, heed my call. With Kid slumped against him, McGill spread his arms and drew a sigil in the air. Hurry, Surge. This way. I grabbed onto him and we plunged into blackness. Okay, I think we're almost done. Holy, almost 6 hours of reading. Thanks to, thanks to McGill's magic. It's not actually 6 hours of reading. Thanks to McGill's magic, we managed to escape the manor alive. But the lights of torches dotted the forest and we couldn't hear soldiers calling to one another. We stopped briefly in the darkness of the woods, and Kid leaned heavily on a tree, desperately trying to quiet her ragged breathing. It was a terrible wound she'd suffered, and it seemed to be taking its toll. Are you okay, Kid? Yeah, don't worry about me, mate. We're surrounded. It won't be long before they find us, said McGill, his eyes cautiously scanning the area. Kid raised her head to look at me. It's me and McGill they want. Get out of here, Serge. It's us they want, not you. What are you saying? I'm not leaving you here. Look at you. You can barely stand. It's nothing I can't handle. Besides, I've got McGill with me. If they catch you with us, they won't go easy on you. But I remembered everything. I remembered everything. I remembered another me. A me from long time ago. Slowly, Kid averted her gaze, looking up at the night sky. I have to go. The stars reflected in her eyes, and suddenly she looked like nothing more than an ordinary young girl with a sad, distant expression on her face. Kid, don't worry, Serge. I'm okay. We'll meet again. Kid smiled. We'll meet again. Somewhere, someday, sometime. Promise. Her eyes closed gently. I didn't manage to nick the frozen flame in the end, and I lost the time egg too. The only thing I had left of Luca's, but it's okay. Everything's gonna be okay. There's something inside me that shines brighter than any stupid jewel. The most important thing in the world. She opened her eyes again and fixed them all on me. I could have lost myself in their depths forever. No one can take it from me. Not for as long as I live. There was nothing else in the world I wanted but this. I doubted I ever wanted anything again. I only wanted this moment. All the clocks in the world could have stopped right then and there for all I cared. And that was exactly what I wished for as I gazed at her. Goodbye, Serge. And thanks. She looked down, then turned away, and disappeared into the darkness of the night. Would I ever see her again? Kid! Don't follow me, Serge. Please, just don't. I strained to try and catch a glimpse of her as the last traces of her shadow vanished towards a place I might never reach again. No, Kid! I leapt to my feet, meaning to chase after her, but a shadow soon blocked my path. McGill? Without saying a word, he slowly shook his head. Behind the mask, I saw a sadness in his eyes. Then the shadow withdrew and melted into the darkness. McGill? Kid? Wait, don't leave me! I screamed into the night, but there was no reply. The black silence swallowed my cries. Kid! Oh, it's Otto. Kid! Okay. I think we're done. And so ends another tale. Perhaps one day I'll see Kid, McGill, and Riddell again. One day. Somewhere, at another time, in another world. Perhaps none of us will even realize it. Ah, okay. But that's a story for another day. For now, I must put down my pen. Interesting. Another time, another... It's the actual game, Chrono Cross. So I was right. It seems to be like a alternate reality. I closed my grandfather's diary. And then, from downstairs, I heard my mother calling. Did you hear me? Your friend's here. Nimble footsteps charged up the stairs. The door flew open. In tumbled a young girl. A girl who seems somehow familiar. Hey, Serge, it's a beautiful day for adventuring. I found a rundown old manor off in the woods to the north. You want to go exploring? I think I know where she is. Come on, put the book down and let's get out of here. It's like the southeast continent. It's like northern ruins she's talking about or some shit. I don't know. It's a nice thought, if it actually is the case. Like some alternate reality with some of the lore being aligned with Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. But then it's like maybe some of this stuff is like not canon. Right? I can't remember what is and isn't. Yeah, when we play Chrono Cross, we'll cross-reference it. But yeah, we're done. Okay, cool. This is nice, actually. I'm a fan of like visual novel type of experience, especially if they're like well written and whatnot. This one's alright. It's a lot more gamey, like moving from like, you know, you're moving through the place. It really is like those text-based adventures with like battles and little puzzles and like a order of things. And I'm gonna try to see how like the ending thing works, because apparently there's more than one ending. But it's probably just like different kinds of not really important endings. But it's interesting. So the person on the right is Serge, and Serge doesn't look like that at all. Like it's like a blue-haired guy with a bandana. That's probably, so he went from like a hood to a bandana. And then Kid doesn't really look like that. Maybe similar, like in some sense, but she's like younger and whatnot. And then that guy on the left, that looks like Guile, but the different perspective we seen of that specific character, he was like wearing blue and like a blue cape, and he kind of looked like Magus. But yeah, it seems like based on the dialogue that was like, here's this guy is Magus, and she seems to be because she says she remembered another her, and like basically she's having memories of the Antiquity era, the Lost Kingdom. It's implied basically that that guy is Magus, and Kid is like some sort of reincarnation of Magus' sister. And that's why they're like kind of like, you know, if you're like wondering why, it's like, oh, she's gonna go with him and shit. And then Serge is kind of just like, Serge ends up it's like weird. This doesn't seem, it's like half canon. It's like some of these ideas do end up you know, but it's more like how and the journey and like the nitty-gritty details about like what happened after. But this is interesting that so like I know a little about this, because when this game came out, the HD remaster or whatever, I heard about this visual novel thing that got added in, and it's like something we never got before, right? And I heard like that basically a lot of the speculation and theory and the you know, it's like a, there was like another game that was kind of like had something like this, but it's like this is what was supposed to be Chrono Cross, and it's kind of, I don't know if they like started over and like changed it a bunch, and then that ended up being Chrono Cross, and then this was relegated to like some alternate reality type of thing. I don't know the story behind it, but yeah, a lot of the stuff we just saw here, like the Viper Manor and stuff, like when we actually go there, I'm gonna try to see if they kept a lot of the elements in there, even the characters and the lore that was dropped in this, like stuff about Finn is better than the end, okay? But yeah, I just like the McGill character is not even anywhere. This is like a new, you know, but Serge, a character named Serge that's like this, and then the character named Kid that's like that. It's like those are gonna be in Chrono Cross. What a weird experience. Like weird because like it's relevance to the actual canon of Chrono series is like very confusing to me right now. I'm not even sure. But yeah, anyways, that was good. We're done. It took us more than 3 hours. And yeah, there is more endings. So we got one ending, kid, litris, or yeah, whatever. And then we're gonna put this on hold for a quick. I'm gonna look at the other stuff. Yeah. That's Radical. What's it called? Radical Dreamers. Yeah, the Radical Dreamers. Cool. Cool. And I couldn't even save. Continue. Yeah, cool. Surge. Yeah, that was pretty sick. We'll look into getting more of the endings and maybe actually like fully completing this. I don't think there's any trophies or anything associated with this. It seems to be like a standalone, separate product. But not gonna lie, I kind of want to know more and go through it maybe just to be thorough and stuff. It's like I've never done it before. When we're doing first times for things, I'm more like willing, if you know what I mean. Whereas if it's like a revisit, I might want to take shortcuts and skip stuff and cut off excess fat sort of thing. But yeah, that was not Chrono Cross, but a supplementary game bundled with the new Chrono Cross HD remaster package that is basically, you know, like some precursor alternate product. It never got localized until now, and it's like this nice little text-based adventure, visual novel-esque RPG adventure, and it seems to have a lot of lore that might track in Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross, and then it might be some stuff that's contradicted, and I can't really tell right now. But yeah, that's all.